Vol 2, Chapter 422, Blockade of Planet Vassian. Why do we need to attack Planet Vassian? Wouldn't paralyzing their industries be a more effective way to weaken the Eru people's resistance? Matt Horner questioned during a communication with High Command. Chief of Staff Chi John responded, "This decision is influenced by political factors. I despise politics the most. It's all about speaking in circles and never getting straight to the point." Matt Horner expressed his frustration. Our civilization, being the fourth, has a relatively small population, which limits our ability to confront the Ailu people directly. If we were to overpower them militarily, it would tarnish our image in the Republic's parliament. Given that the Ailu people have superior resources and war potential, a direct confrontation would put us at a disadvantage. Therefore, the most effective strategy is to turn the Ailu people against themselves, explained Chi-Jan. Are you suggesting we build opposition forces within their ranks? Matt Horner asked, understanding the plan. Exactly. The Ailu civilization is diverse, primarily consisting of the Ailu people, but also including about 10% humans and 20% Vassian people. Your target, the planet Vassian, is the homeland of the Vassian people, which provides us with a solid foundation for our strategy, Chi-Jan elaborated. Understood, Matt Horner acknowledged. He then returned to his flagship's command center and ordered, "Change our combat target to the Ailu people's colony, planet Vassian." "Affirmative," came the response. A day later, the hyperspace channel between the Kuna star cluster and the Vassian galaxy stabilized. Matt Horner gave the command, and the entire fleet entered hyperspace, heading straight for Vassian. Meanwhile, the Ailu civilization was preparing for battle. In their capital, Anji, 100 warships of various types were ready for combat, supported by 2 armed space stations. In the palace, Queen Eru reviewed the battle reports with a grim expression. The garrison fleet at the Eye of Kuna was annihilated, and Tersi's fleet as well, trapped in the Kuna colony? Explain how this happened. Our adversaries from Planet Dawn possess more advanced warships, including numerous ghost fighters equipped with stealth technology, a general reported. Foolishness. Planet Dawn is merely a small colony with no more than 5 million inhabitants. If we cannot stand against such a foe, how can we aspire to dominate the model sector? We must devise a strategy to counter their ghost fighters. The war has begun, and we owe our people an explanation. The Queen declared angrily. An official suggested, "I know of a way to urgently import a batch of weapons, possibly including detectors for the ghost fighters." "What source?" the Queen inquired, sensing complications. 2 individuals from Devalon, named Velma and Holma, claim they can provide advanced weaponry from the quarter-power dockyard, the official revealed. After a moment of contemplation, the Queen decided, "Summon these Devalonians immediately. I want to see what they can offer us. In the meantime, we must stabilize our current situation and achieve a breakthrough." The Minister of Defense announced, "We have a battle plan in place. The next target for Planet Dawn's forces is likely our industrial planet, Orville III, where we've stationed our main 1st and 2nd fleets, totaling 300 warships. Additionally, the fleet that attacked the Eye of Kuna, comprising 115 warships of various types, including 5 Vengeance-class light destroyers and 10 Cobalt Alloy-class heavy frigates, is believed to be from Dawn Planet. This fleet's size aligns with the 4th group's capabilities." The Minister of Defense, with a strategic tone, addressed the room. "The affordability of the Dawn Planet's population is at stake. We formally reached out to the 4th group, offering a substantial sum of 100 million credit points for data on their warships. Unfortunately, our offer was declined." He then activated the star map, elaborating on their XT move. "Our decision is to shift the focus to Kuna's Teeth while maintaining defense against the enemy's main fleet. Destroying their colony on Kuna's Teeth should draw their main fleet back, buying us time to acquire new weaponry." "Proceed immediately," Queen Ailu commanded with a decisive nod. In the model sector's inner circle, on planet Vasha, resides the homeland of the Worthians, an insectoid race. Insectoid species are scattered throughout the galaxy, primarily on its fringes, a remnant of the once mighty Killik civilization that predated human existence. The fall of the Killik Empire led to the dispersal of its tribes, many of which devolved into the current insectoid races. The Yamrai, who previously invaded Kali, are direct descendants of the Killik. The Worthians share this lineage, standing at approximately 1.8 meters tall, with a carapace-covered body and a centaur-like structure, featuring 4 legs and a pair of flexible arms. Known for their non-aggressive nature and industriousness, they adhere to a strict belief and caste system. Upon the arrival of the Ailu people on their planet, the Worthians joined their sphere of influence with little resistance, becoming a primary labor force. The population of Worthians on planet Vasha numbers around 1 billion. Suddenly, the outskirts of planet Vasha were illuminated by white light as Matt Horner led the A-Fleet into orbit. They swiftly overpowered the 30-plus Ailu warships defending the planet. The fleet then positioned itself along the planet's equator, effectively blockading it. Hundreds of Vulture robot warplanes were deployed, penetrating the atmosphere and launching a bombardment on the Elu city. Matt Horner, commanding the Dawn planet's fleet, issued a statement to the Vassian High Priest. He clarified that the Ailu people were the aggressors in this conflict, necessitating the blockade. However, he assured that since the Vassians were not involved in the war, the Dawn planet would refrain from military actions against them. The Vassian High Priest, in desperation, sought assistance from planet Anji. Yet, she was aware that without a solution to the Ghost Fighter's invisibility device, Queen Ailu was in no position to challenge the Dawn planet's fleet, resulting in a lack of support. The blockade persisted for 3 days, during which the Vulture robots continuously targeted the planet, specifically aiming to destroy the granaries. The Vassian High Priest protested vehemently, accusing the Dawn planet of betrayal. Matt Horner responded by explaining that the Vassians' granaries were aiding the Ailu forces, making them a legitimate military target. He offered a proposition: if the Vassians agreed to ally with the Dawn planet and surrender any Ailu on their planets, the food supply would be immediately reinstated. Faced with no other choice and the looming threat of famine, the planet Vassian capitulated. Note 1. The original translation of Vasa was adjusted to avoid confusion with the Vasari people, who will later ally with the protagonist. Vol. 2, Chapter 423, Internal Disintegration. In the heart of Coruscant, within the chambers of the Galactic Republic Council, a heated debate had been unfolding. For some time, the Council's sessions had been dominated by the ongoing dispute between Councillor Francis Underwood of Dawn Planet and Councillor Merasis of Anaj Planet. The crux of their argument centered around Merasis's accusations of Dawn Planet's invasive actions, countered by Underwood's claims that it was the Eru people who had instigated a massacre and provoked conflict. However, today's session took an unexpected turn with Underwood's latest statement. Dressed impeccably in a black suit, Underwood stood confidently on the anti-gravity platform. After a habitual adjustment of his sleeves, he projected his voice across the chamber. The atrocities committed by the Ailu people in the model sector are undeniable. With the advent of interstellar navigation, the Ailu people, leveraging their advanced technology, enslaved the Vassians. And when human settlers arrived, they too were subjugated and forced into servitude. Merasis, visibly enraged, retorted, "Absurd! The Ailu people have always maintained a peaceful coexistence with the Vassians." Yet, Underwood remained unfazed, his smile cold. The evidence suggests otherwise. I propose that the Republic form an investigative committee to delve into the Ailu people's alleged racial oppression and enslavement. Speaker Palpatine, with a mysterious smile, dismissed the suggestion lightly. "Senator Francis, your accusations lack foundation." Anticipating Palpatine's response, Underwood presented a document. This petition, signed by over 10,000 human residents of Anaj, details the enslavement practices of the Ailu people. Given their matriarchal society, where men hold little status, human males find themselves in complete servitude, while human females face discrimination due to reproductive barriers preventing intermarriage with the Ailu. He then revealed another document. An investigation on Vassian reveals that under Ailu rule, the Vassians work 1.5 times longer than the galaxy's average, yet their compensation is a mere third of what is standard. This is irrefutable evidence of the Ailu's enslavement of other races. Merasis, desperate to counter, exclaimed, "This is preposterous. The Vassians, being an insect race." Insect race, Underwood interjected, spreading his arms wide to address the council. Is Councillor Morasis suggesting that because they are an insect race, they do not deserve fair rest or compensation? Morasis, caught between frustration and the limitations of his eloquence, struggled to articulate his point to a council seemingly predisposed to misunderstanding. Attempting to shift the focus, he accused, "Your fleet has blockaded Vassian, destroyed their granaries, and starved the entire planet, including the Vassians." Underwood corrected him. "Incorrect. We targeted only the granaries supplying the Ailu. We have since begun providing food to the Vassians. Thus, it is solely the Ailu who suffer." Seizing what he believed to be a moment of vulnerability, Morasis declared, "You admit to your crimes." "There is no crime in refusing to show mercy to the Ailu," Underwood proclaimed, his voice rising with passion. "The spirits of hundreds of miners slaughtered at Kuna's Fang bear witness to our actions." His words ignited the chamber, prompting many members to rise and applaud, the atmosphere charged with fervor. Back on planet Anji, Queen Ailu received the news from the Galactic Council with fury. "Find out immediately who signed that petition," she demanded, her anger palpable. The internal disintegration within the Council had reached a critical point, setting the stage for an inevitable confrontation. "Arrest all these individuals immediately," Queen Ailu commanded with a tone of urgency. "Your Majesty, this approach may not be prudent. It's possible that the petition was orchestrated precisely to provoke us into making arrests," Secretary of State Tarala interjected, attempting to temper the Queen's decision. "And should we simply stand by as they sow discord among us?" Queen Ailu retorted, her frustration evident. "We must tighten our internal security measures. If we're perceived as engaging in racial discrimination, it will only weaken our political stance," Tarala advised calmly. "What use is discussing politics when it's clear the entire Republic stands with Dawn Planet? Inform the Republic that if they fail to halt Dawn Planet's aggression, we will express our lack of confidence in the Speaker, just as Naboo did." Queen Ailu's voice rose with determination. "I fear the political landscape has shifted significantly since Naboo's time," Tarala responded, his voice barely above a whisper. "If we cannot assert our stance, then we shall sever our ties with the Galactic Republic," declared Queen Ailu, her resolve unwavering. At that moment, two figures, one notably larger than the other, entered the room. Upon noticing Queen Ailu's visible anger, they quickly approached her. "Dear Queen, we've brought you a gift," they said, eager to please. These were Velma and Homa, the mercenaries previously involved in inciting unrest among the Enjoli people in the Enjoli galaxy. "This gift had better be worthwhile, Velma. Did you bring the detection radar you promised?" Queen Ailu inquired, her tone softening slightly. "Without a doubt, Your Majesty." "There's nothing in this galaxy that money can't secure," Velma replied with a sly grin. "Thanks to your generous support, we've managed to acquire 2 ships outfitted with the most advanced detection systems. Each ship costs 50 million credits." Meanwhile, Matt Horner led the A-Fleet in a blockade of the Waxian planet for a week, causing the living conditions for over 2 million Eru inhabitants to deteriorate rapidly. The Anren's sentiment towards the Ailu people also began to cool. In a bid to support General Terci, the Ailu people assembled a fleet of 50 spaceships to head towards Kuna's Fang planet. However, they were too late. Volgograd Kanedi had already initiated a final assault on the Eru colony on Kuna's Fang. A squadron of 40 ghost fighters rained down indiscriminate bombardment on the colony, their pulsed laser cannons targeting every conceivable threat. Despite having an army of 5,000, the Ailu people were too intimidated to venture outside, opting instead to take shelter in buildings and bunkers. After the outer defenses were breached, 30 formidable machines appeared on the horizon, 20 giant mechas and 10 wolf warrior mechas, ready to engage in battle. Note, the War Wolf mecha is a reference from Starcraft, included as an Easter egg in Chapter 1. Volume 2, Chapter 424, Ending the Battle. The towering figure of the giant mecha, standing at 4.8 meters tall, advanced step by step towards the Eru colony. Its arms, equipped with 2 30mm caliber rapid-firing howitzers, relentlessly fired high-explosive shells. The explosions were continuous, demolishing houses and breaching the colony's airtightness, forcing the Aru inhabitants to don ventilators for survival. During a brief lull in the bombardment, the Aru people attempted a counterattack, only to discover that their blaster guns were ineffectual against the mecha's defenses. Order the giant mecha to halt its advance, but maintain suppressive fire. Send the wolf mechas to the front line. Blast through their defenses. Give them no opportunity to retaliate. Colonel Xiao Guanghua, the commander-in-chief of the frontline forces, barked orders from his command vehicle, a Warthog off-road vehicle, orchestrating a siege on the Iru colony. 10 imposing wolf mechas, each standing at 6 meters tall, emerged. These mechas, an evolution of the SCV design, boasted heavier armor, elongated legs, and were armed to the teeth. One arm brandished a massive shield capable of withstanding large-caliber artillery fire, while the other wielded a plasma-field-charged railgun. Mounted on their shoulders were quadruple disorder anti-aircraft missile launchers. With the advancements from the Fourth Civilization's production line, engineers had also fitted these behemoths with shield generators, rendering them nearly invincible. The wolf mechas took the lead, their railguns piercing through multiple buildings with each shot. Behind them, 30 mechas continued their relentless advance. A convoy of Warthog off-road vehicles sped around the outskirts of the colony, their M46 three-barrel anti-aircraft machine guns spraying bullets into the colony's interior. The Iru, accustomed to preying on less advanced races, found themselves utterly outmatched by the mechanized might of the Fourth Civilization. General Tercy's attempts at organizing counter-assaults were futile against the mecha's overwhelming firepower. Just as the situation seemed hopeless for the Iru, a fleet of 50 warships, sent in support by the Eru people, arrived. The Dawn Planet fleet immediately launched a counter-offensive. Volgograd Kennedy ordered a strategic retreat of the ships stationed at Kuna's Fang, allowing part of the Eru fleet to provide ground support. The remaining ships focused on a Lehuk-class cargo ship, initiating a fierce aerial battle. The Eruian warship that entered the atmosphere was quickly targeted by 20 giant mechas. Equipped with Hellfire long-range surface-to-air missiles and the Charon booster, these mechas could strike targets hundreds of kilometers away with pinpoint accuracy, thanks to the Ares fire control system. A barrage of missiles was unleashed, and the Ghost fighter jets soared to engage the Eru spaceships in combat. On the ground, the battle raged on. The wolf mechas blasted through the enemy lines, creating openings for the Warthog vehicles to exploit and penetrate the colony's defenses. Under Kennedy's leadership, the Kuna's Fang colony, despite its limited resources, held firm against the Aru onslaught. The Aru could have diverted more forces to the siege of Kuna's Tooth Planet, but they were met with the formidable presence of the Fourth Civilization's fleet in the Vassian sector, standing ready to defend their territory. Queen Ailu, after investing a staggering 100 million credit points to acquire 2 spaceships capable of detecting the stealth systems of ghost fighters, conducted a preliminary test. Fueled by rage, she then commanded the assembly of the main fleet to launch an assault on the Wahian galaxy. The fleet, comprising 300 warships, set its course straight for the Wahian galaxy. However, by this time, Matt Horner had already seized control of Kina, the satellite of planet Vassian. Kina served not only as the Wazithian sacred site, but also as a massive spaceport. Its capture provided Fleet A with additional tactical options. Matt Horner strategically positioned half of the Ghost fighters on the Kina satellite, using it as a base to launch harassing attacks on the Ailu fleet. As the main fleets of both sides engaged in combat, Matt Horner leveraged his most significant advantage, the fighter jets. A formidable group of 300 Ghost fighters and 300 Vulture robot fighters persistently harassed the Ailu fleet, skillfully avoiding direct confrontation. Although the spaceships provided by Velma and Homa to the Ailu could indeed detect the stealth Ghost fighters, their limited detection range severely restricted the Ailu fleet's mobility. The conflict in the Vassian system raged on for 3 days, during which the Ailu fleet suffered the loss of over 60 spaceships without achieving a decisive victory. Matt Horner demonstrated exceptional command skills, maintaining a tight strategy without room for error. Under his leadership, Fleet A continued to engage the Ailu's main fleet while also dispatching fighter jets to intercept transport ships attempting to access planet Wahian. The situation on the ground of planet Wahian grew dire, with more than 2 million Ailu inhabitants facing starvation and cold. Despite their fleet's presence overhead, no progress was made in 3 days, forcing them to surrender. The high priest of the Vassian people also declared their surrender shortly after, agreeing to join the Fourth Civilization under the leadership of Dawn Planet. The Vassians reasoned that employment under any leadership was preferable, especially when Dawn Planet offered better compensation. Queen Ailu's fury was further fueled by the Vassians' betrayal and the previous unrest among humans within the Ailu civilization, leading to a loss of trust in humanity. Consequently, humans within the Ailu civilization began to face enslavement and oppression. Unbeknownst to many, the initial human petition presented by Francis Underwood was a fabrication aimed solely at sowing distrust towards humans within the Ailu civilization. During this time, the Military Intelligence Department, in collaboration with Baron Helmut Zemo, successfully incited humans within the Ailu civilization, achieving significant results. In a desperate move, Queen Ailu purchased additional ships from Velma and Holma. The cunning Devalans, acting under Darth Sidious's secret orders, sold her a batch of outdated ships from the Justice Fleet of the Republic at 10 times their market value. These ships did make a difference, causing significant losses to Matt Horner's A-Fleet, which was forced to consolidate its forces around the Kina satellite and await a change in the situation. The situation escalated when the first human demonstration against the Ailu erupted on the planet of Anaj, which Queen Ailu brutally suppressed. This harsh response completely eroded any remaining sympathy for the Ailu. 3 days later, the Semers dispatched a fleet to Anaj under the guise of humanitarian relief, issuing a threat to the Ailu government to cease the persecution of humans. In a dramatic turn of events, the Interstellar Banking Association dispatched a fleet of 3 generous-class communication frigates to the industrial planet Orville, home to the Eru people. Their mission was clear: demand immediate repayment of the loan or face the consequences, as their collection agents would take matters into their own hands. This ultimatum ignited the fury of Queen Eru, who, in a bold move, declared that the Eru people would sever all ties with the Galactic Republic, rejecting its laws and regulations henceforth. Upon receiving this news, Tang Xiao, a prominent figure in the unfolding drama, made a decisive statement: with the bridge between Ailu and the Republic now burned, the end is near. True to his word, within a day, a formidable sight appeared in the space near the planet Anji. A massive warship, stretching over a kilometer in length, flanked by 2 Lukrahuk-class armed cargo ships, emerged from hyperspace. The sudden appearance of this fleet caused a catastrophic failure in Anji's external communication systems due to powerful electromagnetic interference. Without delay, the warship engaged in a fierce battle with the Eru fleet, tasked with defending Anji. The Higra-class battlecruiser, with its superior firepower, decimated the Eruian defense fleet with ease. Amidst the chaos of battle, aboard one of the Lukrahuk-class ships, Tang Xiao, revered as the leader of the Fourth Civilization, and Newt Gunray, the governor of the trade union, found themselves in a rather contrasting scene. They were savoring fine wine, observing the devastating efficiency of the Higra-class battlecruiser as it laid waste to the Eruian fleet. This moment marked a chilling spectacle of power and the grim reality of interstellar conflicts, where the might of technology and strategic superiority dictates the fate of civilizations. Vol 2, Chapter 425. Friends are hard to find. The capital planet of Anaj was guarded by approximately 100 battleships, among which 20 were Defender-class and CR-12 frigates, each measuring about 100 meters in length. The majority of the remaining fleet consisted of smaller spacecraft, acquired through less than official channels. The Ailu people, underestimating their adversaries, believed these ships represented the entirety of the Dawn planet's military might. Considering Dawn's modest population of 5 million, they reasoned that staffing these ships, along with 300 ghost fighters, would require nearly 20,000 individuals, leaving little room for other essential personnel. However, the arrival of the Higra-class battlecruiser dismantled the Ilu's misconceptions. Measuring 1,009 meters, its sleek, streamlined design was a sight to behold. Armed with 2 double-mounted heavy particle beam cannons positioned at the bow and 8 quadruple-mounted turbo laser cannons along its sides, the battlecruiser boasted formidable firepower. Additionally, it was equipped with 20 near-defense laser cannons, ensuring comprehensive coverage with virtually no blind spots. Despite having fewer turrets, the battlecruiser's main guns were powered by a robust energy supply, making them slightly less potent than the turbo laser guns, but not reliant on explosive gas. This design choice was strategic, anticipating potential conflicts with the Galactic Republic, where access to explosive gas might be restricted. Surpassing the limitations of the Russon Treaty, the Higra class was the first Kilometer-class battlecruiser of its kind, setting a new standard for battleships across the galaxy. Witnessing its main gun obliterate a Defender-class frigate in a single shot, Newt Gunley, in a burst of excitement, raised his glass and downed his wine in one gulp. "Ha ha ha! Your Excellency Tang Xiao, with the formidable Higra-class battlecruiser, and soon the Shenyi-class cruiser from our collaboration with Lundili Interstellar Dynamics, our fleet will be unmatched in the galaxy." "Ha!" Gunley exclaimed, barely containing his excitement. "We still have a long journey ahead, Mr. Governor. We must not underestimate the capabilities of the Quat Power Dock, an industrial behemoth with a storied history," Tang Xiao cautioned, signaling for a robot to refill Gunley's glass. "Actually, deploying the Higra class here wasn't my initial plan. It could have been problematic if word got out, but given Sidious's significant cough, cough, cough," Tang Xiao abruptly choked on his wine, feigning a coughing fit to avoid further discussion on the topic. "So, when do we plan to negotiate with the Ilu Queen?" He quickly changed the subject. "There's no rush on the negotiations. The Semmers have also deployed a fleet here, but—" Gunley leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper only Tang Xiao could hear. "Did you mention Sidious?" "No, absolutely not. What are you implying?" "I was referring to Merasis, a member of the Ilu people." Tang Xiao vehemently denied any connection. "Don't worry, Your Excellency Tang Xiao. I too have Lord Sidious's support. It was through his influence that I became the governor of the trade union after the incident at the Eliadu Business Summit. He has been very generous to me," Gunley confided, hinting at a deeper connection. "Nonsense. I've never had any dealings with Darth Sidious," Tang Xiao protested, maintaining a facade of integrity, though he did not leave Gunley's side. I understand. Such a lord, being a master of the dark side, must not be mentioned lightly," Gunley nodded, acknowledging the sensitive nature of their conversation. Tang Xiao seemed to grasp the situation, saying, "I now understand why the Fourth Group was so generous in sharing the blueprint of the advanced Higra-class battlecruiser. It appears this was all orchestrated by the adult. It seems we are all pawns in his grand scheme." He cast a suspicious glance at Newt Gunley, who shook his head in response. "I haven't encountered Darth Sidio, us personally, but I have met his apprentice. Darth Maul, I'm familiar with him too. We fought alongside each other on the planet Naboo." Newt Gunley eagerly added, moving closer. His loneliness was palpable. Darth Sidious personally intervened to draw him into his plans, yet he remained isolated, unaware of Sidious's ultimate goals, which filled him with dread. Newt Gunray was aware of Sidious's involvement in 2 major events, the terrorist attack at the Eliadu Business Summit and the Battle of Naboo. He understood that the Battle of Naboo was merely a part of a larger conspiracy capable of unsettling the entire galaxy. The thought of Sidious's true intentions sent shivers down his spine. However, he couldn't share his fears with anyone. The only others who knew of Sidious were Rune Harkow and Dortai Dauphin, both of whom were more fearful than he was, and Dortai Dauphin had already perished on Naboo. He had once confided in Count Dooku about Sidious, hoping Dooku would inform the Jedi Order, but whether Dooku had done so remained uncertain, leaving Newt Gunray in a state of anxious uncertainty. When someone seemingly backed by Sidious appeared, it was no wonder Newt Gunray felt a glimmer of hope. However, Tang Xiao corrected him. It wasn't Darth Maul. After Maul's demise, Lord Sidious took on another apprentice, one who is stronger, younger, and— He paused, looking directly into Newt Gunley's eyes. More handsome. Newt Gunray inhaled sharply. Another apprentice? How many Sith Lords could there possibly be in the galaxy? Perhaps the realm of the Sith extends beyond Darth Sidious alone, but such dark secrets are beyond our reach. I don't know the name of Sidious's new apprentice, only that he is currently active, Tang Xiao whispered. And their plan? Newt Gunray asked, finding solace in a kindred spirit. Overthrowing the Galactic Republic might just be the initial step. There must be further schemes beyond that, though even I am in the dark about them, Tang Xiao said, his voice low. So what should we do? Newt Gunray inquired, eager for guidance. First, we must focus on our immediate tasks. The model sector is a crucial element of that Lord's plan, Tang Xiao stated. Newt Gunray nodded, deep in thought. Meanwhile, the fierce battle on the outskirts of the Anji planet had come to an end. The space around the planet was littered with the wreckage of countless battleships, a silent testament to the conflict. Order the Gonlei battlecruiser to collect the combat data and return to the Golden Nice shipyard as soon as possible, Tang Xiao commanded. Shortly after, the Higra-class battlecruiser, named Gunray, activated its hyperspace engine and vanished, leaving no trace behind. Attachment 1 of the Easter egg chapter, Higra-class battlecruiser, reposted, from Homeland 2, Vol 2, Chapter 426, Bow Your Head. Tang Xiao reached out once more to Baron Helmut Zemo to gauge the resistance of the human members within the Ailu civilization. As anticipated, the conflict between humans and the Ailu people was escalating. The oppressive measures taken by Queen Ailu only fueled the humans' resentment towards her. Initially, the Fourth Civilization was unaware of the dynamics between the human members of the Ailu civilization and the Ailu people themselves. However, Tang Xiao enlisted the expertise of a master-level sociologist, Tang Ke, who shared his surname. Tang Xiao cleverly included the 10 million robots he had acquired in the population count, convincing Tang Ke that the Fourth Civilization had a population of 15 million, thereby awakening this sociological Buddha. Tang Ke's analysis revealed several key insights into the Ailu people's lifestyle, such as their matriarchal society, penchant for collecting trinkets, and a tendency to exploit minor advantages. Their bird-like screeches when angered were particularly intolerable to many other species. These findings suggested that a harmonious relationship between humans and the Ailu people was unlikely. Despite any official policies of equality, the vast differences in habits and aesthetics, combined with the Ailu people's dominance, meant true equality was unattainable. The underlying tensions were inevitable. Moreover, it was noted that humans conducted most of the Ailu people's foreign trade. The smuggling of Rachna blue spice from Kuna's teeth to places like Tatooine and Nasada was primarily a human endeavor. This illicit trade, deemed unseemly by the Ailu people, further strained relations. Capitalizing on these tensions, Francis stirred controversy in Parliament with a fabricated human petition. His approach was simple: declare there was a problem and then call for an investigation, regardless of the actual situation. The Ailu people's military failures exacerbated the issue. Since initiating conflict, they had faced repeated defeats. The once celebrated General Terci was humiliated by Kennedy, and the Ailu people's media relentlessly mocked Volgograd Kennedy's perceived cowardice, only to find themselves unable to best him in combat. Furthermore, Queen Ailu's attempt to gain an upper hand by purchasing a fleet of outdated spaceships, despite spending over 1 billion credit points, failed to yield the desired results against Matt Horner's A-Fleet. With these developments, Queen Ailu struggled to quell the internal discord. Tang Xiao, now fully apprised of the human members' situation within the Ailu civilization, prepared to negotiate. The presence of the Galactic Republic loomed large, necessitating a political approach to any actions taken. The Dawn Planet's war against the Ailu people, justified by the massacre at Kuna's Tooth, needed a legally sound basis to extend the conflict to the capital of Anji. In his discussions with Newt Gunray, Tang Xiao, serving as the governor of Planet Dawn, sought a diplomatic resolution. The complexities of interstellar politics demanded careful navigation, especially when the goal was to challenge the Ailu people's capital. Tang Xiao's strategic planning and understanding of the socio-political landscape set the stage for a nuanced confrontation, where the balance of power and the quest for justice intertwined. Dawn sent a formal request for negotiations to the Ailu people. After a brief wait of about 10 minutes, Queen Iru, adorned in a vibrant feather gown, appeared on the large screen. She was around 40 years old and had aged gracefully, avoiding the typical old witch appearance of her people. Upon noticing the presence of the old god, Tang Xiao, a flash of anger crossed her red eyes. She seemed on the verge of unleashing a tirade but managed to restrain herself. Your Majesty, as the governor of Dawn Planet, I wish to initiate peace negotiations with you, Tang Xiao stated. A truce! You have the audacity to propose a truce, you butcher, executioner, Queen Iru retorted furiously. The only reason you label me a butcher and executioner is because you were defeated. If the roles were reversed, perhaps I would be the one being accused, Tang Xiao replied, a smile playing on his lips. Do you think I've been defeated? Never. The Ailu people will never surrender. We will fight to the very end, Queen Iru declared vehemently. You merely relied on deceit and manipulation to gain the support of Semirth and the trade union. These actions have nothing to do with your planet, Dawn. Tang Xiao was taken aback. Why would you think I resorted to deceit and manipulation to win the support of the Semirs and the Trade Alliance? I also secured alliances with the Technology Alliance, Interstellar Banking Association, Enterprise Alliance, Damask Holding Group, Fourth Group, and the planets Jabim, Jagdur, Rhodia, Malastar, and Geonosius. Are these not noteworthy? If you're truly capable, you wouldn't seek help from others. Let's resolve our planet's conflict directly, face to face. Queen Ailu challenged. Are you still a child? Since when did interplanetary war and politics boil down to a street fight? Tang Xiao sighed. Be realistic. The damage has been done. It's time to think about a resolution before things escalate further. Don't pretend you're unaware of the truth behind the Kuna's teeth incident. You deliberately instigated this war. How do you propose we resolve this? Queen Iru accused. I'm suggesting that we can settle this matter through negotiation. I've extended an olive branch. Don't let your pride get in the way, Tang Xiao replied sternly. Do I need to dispatch more of our giant warships to orbit your planet as a reminder? If the negotiation hadn't been conducted remotely, Queen Iru might have physically attacked him. Someone beside her seemed to whisper a reminder, and after a tense moment, she looked away, her expression complex. Eventually, she suppressed her rage and said through clenched teeth, The Ailu people are willing to start peace negotiations. But you must come to our planet to discuss this in person. Excellent, Tang Xiao responded, his demeanor brightening. I will send 200,000 robot soldiers aboard these 2 armed cargo ships to land in the capital of planet Anji. Afterward, I will personally come to negotiate. Ensure your defenders disarm. How dare you? Do you think you can just occupy our capital? Absolutely not. Queen Iru exclaimed in outrage. So, you're refusing to negotiate? Would you prefer the war to continue? That's fine by me, Tang Xiao said with a sneer. After a long moment of consideration, Queen Ailu finally conceded. Fine, I will issue the order. Her expression was twisted with anger, but the harsh reality left her no choice but to acquiesce. Vol 2, Chapter 427, The Surrender Treaty. Queen Ailu found herself in a position where she had no choice but to concede. Her main fleet was still engaged in a siege against Matt Horner's Mfunofor, a fleet on planet Wahian, a situation that left her unable to form a solid defense or employ effective tactics. Meanwhile, her homeland faced imminent danger. The Semi's fleet, boasting 60 warships, most of which were outdated, had a secret weapon, the Higra-class battlecruiser. This formidable vessel effortlessly obliterated the more than 100 battleships the Eru people had left to defend their capital. The disparity in combat power was stark and undeniable. After conducting numerous simulations, the High Command of the Eru people concluded that initiating peace negotiations was the most favorable outcome. It was a far better alternative than waiting for their fleet to be decimated. Moreover, the Interstellar Banking Association's presence, with its 3 generous-class communication frigates demanding collections on Orville 3 planet, only added to their woes. Thus, the Lucrehook-class cargo ship made its descent into the atmosphere of planet Anji, landing amidst a slight earthquake and light rain in the capital city of Kanagi Bell. As it touched down, teams of B-1 battle droids disembarked, and, under the wary eyes of the city's inhabitants, divided into 5 groups to strategically occupy Kanagi Bell. The city was soon encircled by an army of 200,000 robots, leaving the defenders with no choice but to surrender their weapons and watch helplessly as the robotic force took control. Tang Xiao, riding an AAT assault tank, paraded down Central Avenue, flanked by tens of thousands of B-1 combat robots. The spectacle drew many curious onlookers, witnessing a scene unlike any they had seen before. However, the reception from the Ailu people was far from welcoming. They expressed their hostility by throwing rotten leaves and other debris onto the street, actions that the Ailu military police chose to ignore. Tang Xiao, however, was not as forgiving. He had already instructed the robot commander to arrest anyone displaying such disrespect, to be taken aboard the spaceship and sent to the mines. In contrast, the human members of the population were overjoyed by the arrival of the robot army, with many holding up signs that read, "Welcome Liberators," to express their support. Upon entering the palace, Tang Xiao was greeted by Queen Ailu and hundreds of officials, though the queen's demeanor was anything but welcoming. With a slight smile, Tang Xiao took his seat at the negotiating table, accompanied by his Minister of Foreign Affairs, who was a skilled negotiator. The negotiations were primarily his responsibility. Tang Xiao's initial request was simple. He wanted representatives of the Ailu civilization's human population to join the negotiations. These representatives were already with him, ready to be summoned at a moment's notice. Queen Ailu was vehemently opposed to the idea, insisting it was out of the question. Tang Xiao, unfazed, made it clear that if they were unwilling to negotiate on these terms, he was content to let the situation be resolved by the 200,000-strong robot army, or, if necessary, to bring in the Higra-class battlecruisers for a more forceful persuasion. Left with no other option, the Ailu people acquiesced, and 3 leaders from the Human Independence Front were brought to the negotiating table. Under the shadow of Tang Xiao's formidable military presence, the negotiations proceeded smoothly, with Tang Xiao making reasonable demands. The primary agreement reached was on racial autonomy. Both the Vassians and humans under Ailu civilization would be granted limited self-governance. This meant that each race would independently establish their own executive and legislative branches of government, though the specifics of this arrangement were yet to be detailed. To simplify, the goal was to grant the Vassians and humans a semblance of autonomy from the Ailu civilization. Although they appeared to lack diplomatic and military authority, a deeper analysis revealed the crux of their predicament centered around the Dawn planet. Officially, it aligned with the Ailu civilization, yet the true leadership for these races had shifted to the Fourth civilization. One bilateral alliances for joint development, the Ailu civilization and the Fourth civilization agreed to acknowledge each other's sovereignty and collaborate on developing the model sector. The fruits of this development would be shared based on each party's contributions. Furthermore, they agreed to exclude any third-party development rights within the model sector. This strategy not only provided a legal foundation for future expansion, but also strategically bound the Ailu civilization to the Fourth civilization's ambitions. Given the Ailu civilization's inferior colonization and development capabilities, the Fourth civilization would inevitably dominate the model sector. Should any external forces attempt to intrude, the Ailu civilization would be compelled to support the Fourth civilization in repelling these threats. The definition of an outsider remained deliberately vague, granting the Fourth civilization considerable discretion in its application. 2. Diplomatic authorization. Following the Eru civilization's formal secession from the Galactic Republic, their representatives in Coruscant withdrew. Consequently, the Ailu civilization delegated its diplomatic responsibilities to the Fourth civilization, requesting their assistance in voicing their concerns. Machadas Morasis, a former Ailu member, was appointed to serve as an assistant to Lancis Underwood in Coruscant. 3. War reparations. The conflict was ignited by the Eru people's massacre of miners on the planet Kuna Fang, a point of contention that Queen Ailu emotionally attributed to a conspiracy by the Fourth civilization. After extensive negotiations, it was agreed that General Terci of the Eru would be held accountable, facing a 10-year sentence from the Ailu's military court rather than being extradited to the Fourth Civilization. Additionally, the Eru civilization would compensate the Fourth Civilization with 2 billion credits for military losses and the massacre. During discussions on reparations, Queen Ailu revealed the Ailu civilization's depleted treasury, blaming the loss on 2 mercenaries who had sold them outdated warships. These ships, albeit inferior, were deemed necessary for combat against ghost fighters, forcing the Ailu to make a costly purchase. Ultimately, the Fourth Civilization conceded to accept the industrial output of planet Orville III as collateral. Tang Xiao's intervention persuaded Sandhill of the Interstellar Banking Association to extend the Ailu's loan period by 5 years. The modernization of planet Orville III's outdated factories, a project estimated to cost over 5 billion credits, would be overseen by the Interstellar Banking Association, the Fourth Group, and the trade union, with the costs borne by the Eru people secured against the future industrial output of planet Orville III. The Ailu civilization reached an agreement to transfer control of Thonor, their prison planet, to the Fourth Civilization. The Ailu people were indifferent to this arrangement, while the Fourth Civilization welcomed it with open arms. For them, the transfer meant gaining over 1 million individuals, comprising both soldiers and laborers, a significant boost to their workforce and military might. Vol 2, Chapter 428, Everyone is Happy. The peace terms proposed by Tang Xiao, though stringent, did not corner the Ailu people into a hopeless situation. Instead, they offered ample room for mutual development, albeit under the leadership of the Fourth Civilization. Ultimately, the success of these terms hinged on the Ailu people's willingness to cooperate. Meanwhile, at the Galactic Council of Coruscant, Francis Underwood briefed the Council on the peaceful resolution with the Ailu people. This announcement signified that the planets of Dawn and Anaj had moved past their animosities to embrace a joint future in the model sector, aiming to create a harmonious world. Palpatine and Quarter Power Doc, who had made a tidy profit of over 1 billion credits from the conflict, raised no objections. Their involvement had been a calculated risk, and now was not the time for public accusations. The outcome was universally welcomed, with Palpatine proudly declaring Dawn Planet's role in securing peace for the Republic. The new members of the Outer Ring Star District's Ring faction were delighted with their new leadership, confident in their decision to align with them. The aristocrats of the Inner Ring and core areas, weary of squabbling over a worthless territory, were relieved to see the issue resolved, or enjoying the newfound peace and quiet. The Fourth Civilization solidified its dominance in the model sector, welcoming 1 billion Watsians, formerly under Ailu civilization, into their fold. Recognizing their value as diligent workers, Tang Xiao generously rewarded them. He appointed the Vathian High Priest as the Vathian Pope and constructed a magnificent temple on their altar on the satellite of Kaina, adorning it with gold, a gesture that was greatly appreciated. Moreover, the economic prospects under the Fourth Civilization were significantly better than those offered by the Ailu civilization, leading to higher satisfaction among the Watsian people, who committed themselves wholeheartedly to their new leaders. The Ailu civilization's human population, numbering between 400 to 500 million, found themselves in a dire situation after gaining autonomy. Facing a lack of housing, food, and industry, they had no choice but to turn to the Fourth Civilization for assistance. Tang Xiao, in his characteristic generosity, collaborated with Newt Gunley and the Trade Alliance to help these humans establish their agricultural and industrial systems. Tang Xiao also initiated a new project on Sonel, a former prison planet of the Ailu people. The planet housed 1 million prisoners, all felons sentenced to exile, and about 2 million human inhabitants who had migrated from the planet of Anji, preferring agriculture and fishing over the Ailu lifestyle. Additionally, around 100,000 Kianthar people, a rare race with telepathic abilities, resided on the planet. For now, Tang Xiao focused on pacifying them without taking further action. Given that Sonel lacked high-quality minerals and was unsuitable for spaceship manufacturing, Tang Xiao planned to construct a massive barracks on the planet. Felons willing to serve in the military could do so for up to 15 years, or 2/3 of their race's average life expectancy. Upon completing their service, they would receive a significant allowance and regain their freedom. Meanwhile, the Interstellar Banking Association was modernizing the Ailu people's original industrial planet, marking a new chapter of development and cooperation in the galaxy. On the planet Orville Thur, the conclusion of the conflict was anything but a fairy tale ending. The Ailu people were the only ones who suffered defeat. In the aftermath of the war, influential figures such as Thornhill, the co-chairman of the Interstellar Banking Association, and Newt Gunley, the governor of the trade union, began to see Tang Xiao in a new light, each from their own unique perspective. Thornhill had long harbored suspicions that Tang Xiao might be the elusive apprentice of Plagueis, though he could never be certain. What he did know, however, was that Tang Xiao shared a profound connection with Plagueis, prompting him to seek out Tang Xiao's alliance on multiple occasions. Newt Gunley, on the other hand, believed Tang Xiao to be another of Sidious's pawns in the grand scheme of things. He reasoned that if they were all merely pieces in Sidious's game, it would be wise to band together for mutual support. This way, should Sidious ever decide to cast them aside, they would have each other to turn to for counsel. Thanks to Count Dooku's efforts in bridging the gaps between these factions, the trade union and the Interstellar Banking Association found themselves forming a surprisingly close alliance with Tang Xiao's affiliates, including Dawn Planet, the Fourth Group, and the Dama SK Holding Group. Following the signing of the Anaj contract, an agreement that heavily favored the Fourth Civilization and the Eru Civilization, the First Model Sector War came to an end. Tang Xiao returned to the planet Kuna's Fang, where the conflict had initially erupted. In a solemn gesture, he organized a grand funeral to honor the 179 miners and the 447 members of the pioneering group led by Tuel, who had lost their lives in the massacre. Tang Xiao declared the day of the massacre as an annual day of remembrance on Kuna's Teeth planet, with a 3-minute silence observed at the exact moment of the tragedy. The Fourth Civilization also provided generous pensions to the families of the deceased, ensuring that both those with and without relatives were remembered and honored. The peace celebrations brought a different tone to the proceedings. Tang Xiao personally awarded Volgrad Kanedi the Medal of Merit for combat heroes. Approaching Kanedi, who stood proudly in his military uniform, Tang Xiao presented the medal with both hands. Your strategic disadvantage did not hinder your success. Your troops not only protected the colony, but also inflicted significant damage on the enemy. This medal is a testament to your exceptional military prowess, Mr. Kennedy. I hereby promote you to the rank of Major General, entrusting you with the leadership of colonization and military operations within the entire Kuna cluster. You are our true fighting hero. However, Kanedi's reaction was unexpected. Upon hearing the words, combat hero, his face turned pale, and he abruptly stood up, snatched the medal from Tang Xiao's hands, and threw it to the ground. With clenched teeth, he exclaimed, "This could have been avoided, right? This war was unnecessary. Those miners didn't have to die, did they?" "I'm sorry, General Kennedy. The relationships between nations are never purely innocent or without blemish. Greater responsibilities require an understanding of this harsh reality," Tang Xiao replied calmly, maintaining his composure. "But those people—" Kennedy pointed vehemently towards the newly erected monument, his gesture filled with intensity. "Those people were innocent. I wouldn't have opposed you if you wanted to wage war. Soldiers dying in battle is one thing, but sacrificing civilians is something I cannot accept. If you examine the entire situation closely, you'll realize that my role was merely to fan the flames. The true instigators of this tragedy were the Ailu people. This was beyond your control," Tang Xiao explained, his tone measured. "So since I'm now hailed as a fighting hero and a general, may I make a request?" Kennedy asked, his tone shifting unexpectedly. Vol 2, Chapter 49, Sector Governor. "You are a true soldier, and it's clear to me now. The military uniform is where you truly belong. Thus, you have earned this medal," Tang Xiao declared with an air of authority. He then personally approached, bent down to pick up the medal, and solemnly placed it on Kennedy's chest, giving him a reassuring pat on the shoulder afterward. Kennedy's gaze was unwavering as he locked eyes with Tang Xiao, but eventually he relented, allowing Tang Xiao to proceed without objection. The director of the live broadcast, seasoned in handling such moments, swiftly cut the scene to avoid any unintended broadcast mishaps, ensuring the smooth continuation of the celebration. "What do you wish to discuss? Find me on the spaceship after the festivities," Tang Xiao said before turning to address the audience. His demeanor shifted instantly, adopting a bright smile as he delivered a stirring speech on peace. This brief interlude did not detract from the celebration's momentum, with the entire colony basking in the triumph of victory. The decision of the Dawn Planet to confront the formidable Ailu people in defense of the slaughtered miners significantly boosted the morale of the pioneer group, making them feel valued and seen, a stark contrast to their previous neglect and hardship. After the celebration, Tang Xiao returned to the Lukrahuk-class cargo ship he had arrived in. Soon after, Volgograd Kennedy made his way to Tang Xiao's office. "Your Excellency the Governor," Kennedy greeted. Tang Xiao acknowledged him with a nod, opting not to offer a seat but instead inquired indifferently, "What are your thoughts on the war with the Ailu people?" "Congratulations," Kennedy responded succinctly. "Is that all?" Tang Xiao motioned for a robot to bring him a cup of tea, conspicuously not offering one to Kennedy. After taking a sip, he continued, "As a leader, recognizing the strengths of your people is crucial. However, I must admit, I've misjudged you on several occasions. Initially, I saw you as a capable captain who could leverage our slight advantage in the unfamiliar terrain of space, but I was mistaken. You had no desire for battle." He paused, placing the teacup down and resting his fingers on the table. "Later I thought perhaps pressure was the issue, so I pushed you, only to realize you truly had no interest in conflict. Thus I reassigned you to the United Mining Group, hoping you'd find fulfillment there. Yet again, I was wrong. You turned to drink. But it didn't matter. At that time, our civilization could afford a few non-contributors, so I dismissed you from my concerns. Until now, Daphne Clement placed you in this role, and you truly surprised me. Now tell me, a so-called hero of battle, clearly capable and strategic, yet consistently avoiding conflict, what's your story? What do you desire?" Tang Xiao finally asked. "My past is inconsequential. All I can say is that I've led battles and have some experience." Kennedy spoke softly. "I've never wanted to fight, and I still don't. The thought of civilian casualties is unbearable. However, I've come to understand your perspective. At one point, I considered resigning to live a peaceful life as a farmer. But then, my perspective shifted." "Go on," Tang Xiao encouraged. "I wish for you to grant me governance over the entire planet of Kuna's Fang. I promise to ensure the colony's prosperity and security. However, I have one condition, to spare the civilians from the horrors of war, allowing them to live in peace." "And to never target civilians," Kennedy stated. Tang Xiao smiled slightly. "And how secure can you make this colony?" "As long as I live, no one will conquer this planet," Kennedy asserted confidently. "In that case, you must understand that my support will be limited. My focus will be directed elsewhere," Tang Xiao concluded, setting the stage for a new chapter in the colony's history under Kennedy's stewardship. "Just like this war," Tang Xiao said. "Yes. Kuna's Fang will make contributions that align with, or even sue, Arpass, the support from Dawn Planet," Kennedy replied. Tang Xiao nodded. "My appointment for you remains unchanged. I've entrusted you with the entire Kuna star cluster, along with some Ailu civilization colonies on other planets. The unification of these colonies will test your abilities, but—" He leaned closer to Kennedy, a faint aura of death emanating from his eyes, causing Kennedy to break out in a cold sweat. "Remember, as the strategic rear that I highly value, any problems within the Kuna star cluster. Well, you understand that sometimes death can be considered a luxury." Kennedy, resisting Tang Xiao's intimidating presence, said firmly, "As long as you keep your promise, I will fulfill my duties." Tang Xiao suddenly laughed, the terrifying pressure vanishing instantly. He patted Kennedy on the shoulder and said, "You earned this opportunity with your exceptional performance in the war. It's a deal. My first sector governor, Volgograd Kennedy. I'm eager to see where you will take the Kuna cluster." Kennedy's expression was stern, and though his gaze towards Tang Xiao still held distrust and hostility, he stood at attention and saluted. After leaving Tang Xiao's office, he looked out at the starry sky through the porthole, determined, if the war could not be stopped, he would do his utmost to protect as many lives as possible. Following the conclusion of the First Model Sector War, which lasted 12 days, the Fourth Civilization secured its much-needed strategic rear and a significant population boost. Among them, the 1 billion Wathians proved to be excellent laborers. Despite their strength and resilience against heavy weaponry, their clumsiness made them unsuitable as soldiers, so they remained laborers, albeit with better compensation. Additionally, 400 to 500 million humans from the Ailu civilization showed potential for utilization, most notably the 1 million felons on the prison planet Sonel, where recruitment efforts had already begun. In the aftermath, the Fourth Civilization devoted nearly all its resources to integrating the gains from the war, pausing other projects except for those already in progress. Concurrently, a second large-scale army transformation began, alongside a massive expansion. The mass production of the M15 Defender assault rifle and the M4 Ninja Dart submachine gun, along with the Liberator light combat suit, marked a significant upgrade from the standard equipment issued by the Dawn planet. The M15 Defender assault rifle and the M4 Ninja Dart submachine gun, both designed to penetrate common deflector shields, showed remarkable effectiveness. However, their performance against armored targets was somewhat lacking. Overall, these firearms offered significantly more firepower than the M8 Avenger assault rifle, which was the standard issue for the Army. The Liberator light combat suit provided enhanced protection against energy weapon damage, making it a valuable addition to the soldier's gear. Attachment 1 of the Easter egg chapter, Liberator light combat suit, from Mass Effect. Attachment 2 of the Easter egg chapter, M15 Defender assault rifle, from Mass Effect. Vol 2 Chapter 430, Breaking Down Technical Barriers. The breakthrough in the development of the M15 Defender assault rifle and the M4 Ninja Dart submachine gun was primarily due to the discovery of a pivotal technology, Element Zero, or EZO for short. This discovery was made by the master-level Solarian scientist Arroyo Barlow in collaboration with the legendary Solarian Professor Modin, who currently serves as the director of the Advanced Project Battleship Research and Development Department. However, the true innovation wasn't in the development of Element Zero itself, but in Arroyo Barlow's identification of a substitute for it, hypermatter. Hypermatter is a type of superparticle matter that exists only in hyperspace. It can be contained within the magnetic field of real space, and when made conductive, the velocity of the charged superparticles accelerates infinitely, leading to their annihilation. This annihilation process generates tremendous energy, capable of breaking through the confines of hyperspace to affect our three-dimensional reality. The hyperspace engine, as depicted in the Star Wars universe, operates on this principle. It's important to note that there are various types of supersubstances, each producing different energy levels depending on the refinement process. These range from the commonly found hyperspace fuel in the Milky Way to the theoretical and yet-to-be-produced core element, coaxium, each representing a different form of supermatter. Interestingly, Element Zero also forms a type of dark energy upon conduction, creating a mass effect field that alters the mass of all matter within it. This alteration allows matter to accelerate to superluminal speeds within a mass effect field. Arroyo Barlow's research revealed that hyperspace and mass effect fields share similar physical models in their ability to accelerate matter beyond the speed of light, both processes occurring outside of three-dimensional space, since the maximum speed within three-dimensional space is the speed of light, a limit that cannot be surpassed according to physical laws. This discovery bridged the technological gap between the Mass Effect and Star Wars universes. The steel needle acceleration module of the previously developed M8 Avenger assault rifle, which could be replaced by electromagnetic acceleration, paved the way for the more advanced M15 Defender assault rifle and M4 Ninja Dart submachine gun. These weapons required the use of Element Zero to meet their design specifications. This technological leap originated from an accidental hypothesis by Arroyo Barlow, who attempted to apply his scientific expertise from the Mass Effect universe to interpret technology from the EVE universe. He initially sought to replace the spaceship power systems in EVE with Element Zero engines. However, he discovered that Element Zero did not exist in that world. Driven by Solarian curiosity, he dedicated himself to finding a suitable substitute for Element Zero. Instead of advancing spacecraft development, this endeavor led to the clarification of the relationship between Element Zero and the supermatter of this world. After sharing his findings with Qi Jianjun's scientific research team, they quickly developed the M15 Defender assault rifle and M4 Ninja Dart submachine gun. These weapons, powered by metaphysical energy, may very well be the first firearms in the Star Wars universe to utilize such advanced technology, marking a significant milestone in the fusion of these diverse worlds. The concept of using supermatter to accelerate steel needles to high velocities presented a novel approach to breaching deflector shields. This method, leveraging the unique properties of supermatter during acceleration, promised a significant destructive capability against shields. Although the impact of these advanced firearms on deflector shields was somewhat limited, they marked a departure from traditional weaponry, suggesting an entirely new direction of technological advancement. This divergence from the established norms of the Star Wars universe highlighted a path not previously considered. In this universe, the prevalence of explosive gases had steered scientists away from exploring projectile-based weaponry. The all-encompassing utility of blaster beams, with their intense heat and explosive shockwaves, seemed to fulfill all necessary combat roles, rendering the development of alternative weapons seemingly redundant. However, the Fourth Civilization harbored ambitions beyond the conventional. Their pragmatic approach to weapon technology, particularly in dismissing the reliance on explosive gas-based arms like blaster guns and turbo laser cannons, underscored their intent to explore more potent avenues of warfare. This civilization aimed not just to match, but to surpass the Republic in explosive energy technology, while significantly advancing in kinetic energy weaponry. This ambition necessitated a considerable investment in resources and energy to counter. The application of this technology extended to the Fourth Civilization's naval capabilities, particularly in the armaments of their Cole-class battlecruisers and the formidable Ragnarov-class Titan battleships. The use of supermaterial acceleration in these ships' weaponry promised an unprecedented increase in firepower. However, the financial implications of such technological advancements were stark. The consumption of supermatter, especially when utilized at the maximum capacity of a Higera-class battlecruiser's hyperspace engine, was astronomically high, necessitating frequent resupply after several hyperspace jumps. Despite the high costs associated with supermatter utilization, especially when compared to lasers or electromagnetic acceleration, its dual utility for both propulsion and weaponry offered a logistical advantage. The transition to supermatter as a replacement for zero-element technology opened new horizons for the Fourth Civilization, heralding a future of enhanced capabilities and strategic dominance. Amidst these technological strides, a significant development occurred within the secretive G project, a venture of great importance to Tang Xiao. While on the planet Geonosian, Tang Xiao, whose demeanor had grown increasingly reserved and intense from his immersion in the way of the Sith, received distressing news. An urgent message conveyed the unfortunate demise of Tremi Brad, a key figure working on the secretive project on Sojourn. This news struck a chord with Tang Xiao, threatening to unravel the composure he had maintained amidst his growing power and ambition. 2 months prior, on the planet Geonosis, a pair of fierce eyes with vertical pupils snapped open. The eyes, belonging to a being not yet familiar with its surroundings, slowly surveyed the room. Medical droids, Bacta tanks, robotic limbs, medical personnel, and Geonosians filled the space. Lifting what should have been his hands, the being was met with the sight of mechanical arms. Despite their unfamiliarity, they responded with surprising agility, obeying the brain's commands without hesitation. Simultaneously, a flood of data scanned the environment, analyzing every detail with precision. A Geonosian, leaning on a cane, approached and spoke in his native tongue. The words were instantly translated. "Are you awake, General Grievous?" Confused, Grievous examined his new form, a body encased in metal, yet beneath it, he could feel a pulsating, fiery heartbeat. What happened to me? Your operation was a success, General Grievous, announced Archduke Poggle of Geonosis, approaching with a measured gait. We have employed the pinnacle of biomechanical technology to forge this new body for you. It grants you unparalleled strength, sufficient to annihilate all Jedi Knights. The mention of Jedi ignited a fury within Grievous. Jedi! They attempted to assassinate me, to shoot down my ship. I will kill them, destroy them all. Poggle observed Grievous's rage with a hint of satisfaction. It appears your memory is intact. Now it's time you met your leader. Leader? No, I bow to no one. No one is worthy of leading me. Grievous protested vehemently. He is the one who bestowed upon you this new life, this formidable vessel. He is wise, decisive, a true leader, interjected another voice. Sandhill, co-chair of the Interstellar Banking Clan, entered the room. You recognize me, General. Before the Jedi's attack, you served as our enforcer. Do you recall? Grievous's gaze hardened. Yes, Sandhill, I remember you, and these detestable, ineffective droids. Excellent. Then let us proceed to meet the architect of your rebirth, Count Dooku, Sandhill said, leading the way with a cautious eye on the IG-100 guard droids flanking them. He feared Grievous's volatile memory might provoke a lethal response, but the general followed without incident. Upon meeting Count Dooku, Grievous was met with a mix of disdain and expectation. I am pleased you survived and are prepared to follow my command, Dooku stated. You are Count Dooku. Grievous acknowledged, a wave of dizziness momentarily overwhelming him as he reached for his head, only to be reminded of his metallic form by the cold, echoing clang. Indeed, in the coming days I will train you, enhancing your strength until you can effortlessly dismantle your foes, Dooku promised. Yes, my enemy. The Jedi, Grievous affirmed, his voice resonating with a metallic timbre. Dooku nodded, pleased with the progress. Your training has been exemplary, Grievous. You have mastered all 7 forms of lightsaber combat and possess the strength to exterminate any Jedi. Yet, it is insufficient. I crave more power, Grievous declared, his voice echoing from within his metallic shell. Your training will persist, but my time is limited. You will have years to refine your skills further. Meanwhile, I must focus on a grander scheme, a force capable of challenging the Galactic Republic, Dooku explained, hinting at plans that extended far beyond personal vendettas. Count Dooku carefully opened the front of his shirt, revealing a lightsaber secured at his waist. With a deliberate motion, he untied it and presented it to General Grievous. This is the green lightsaber of Jedi Master Cypher Dyas, whom I defeated. It once belonged to an old friend, and now I bestow it upon you. Use the Jedi's own weapon to annihilate them, Count Dooku declared, his voice dripping with smug satisfaction. Grievous accepted the lightsaber, his silence speaking volumes. Count Dooku, undeterred by the lack of response, sneered. Such a gift is unparalleled, especially for a machine like yourself. A word of gratitude wouldn't be amiss at this juncture. Without waiting for a reply, Dooku turned on his heel and strode away, his chuckle echoing through the corridor. Grievous examined the lightsaber in his hand, pressing the activation button. The blade sprang to life with a hiss, casting a green glow on his metallic visage. His voice, cold and demonic, broke the silence. In a flash of movement too quick to follow, Grievous decapitated an IG-100 robot standing nearby. No longer. The IG-100 robots, realizing the threat, armed themselves with high-voltage electric rods, but they were no match for Grievous. His mastery of Ataru, the 4th form of lightsaber combat, allowed him to strike with lethal precision and agility. Any Jedi witnessing this would have been taken aback by his skill. "I'm a mere robot," Grievous roared, his declaration reverberating off the walls. As his voice faded, the hall was filled with the sound of collapsing metal as the defeated robots clattered to the ground. Meanwhile, in a separate chamber, Count Dooku knelt before the holographic projection of Darth Sidious, shrouded in a black cloak. "My lord, Grievous's training is complete. We've erased his memories and infused him with the blood of Cypher Dyas," Dooku reported. "However, our experiment did not yield the desired outcome. The Jedi Master's blood did not grant Grievous the ability to wield the Force. Nevertheless, his enhanced physical prowess and indomitable will more than compensate. He has shed his past, and the once noble Kali demigod has been transformed. Grievous is now driven by a cold, vengeful fury, Dooku continued. Encased within that formidable armor is a brilliant general and strategist, devoid of compassion and fear, including the fear of death. He is destined to lead legions of droids against our enemies, tearing apart the corrupt Galactic Republic. Dooku concluded, his voice filled with a dark promise of the chaos to come. Volume 2, Chapter 432, The Robot. General Darth Sidious couldn't help but chuckle with satisfaction upon receiving Count Dooku's report. You've done an excellent job, Darth Tyrannus. Even from here, I can sense the formidable soul residing within his metallic frame. He truly walks the path of the Sith, he praised, his mood evidently uplifted by the news. We are inching ever closer to our ultimate goal. Tell me, what are your thoughts on the Dawn Planet? Count Dooku, with a respectful bow, responded, The Dawn Planet is intricately linked to the Fourth Group. While their stances may diverge on minor issues, they are bound to unite over significant matters. The Fourth Group possesses advanced technology and seems to have a powerful backing, though their origins remain shrouded in mystery and are difficult to trace. Darth Sidious, his interest piqued, slowly added, Francis Underwood, a member of the Dawn Planet, is a particularly dangerous individual. His thirst for power rivals even my own, yet his ability to curb this desire suggests they are plotting something far greater than mere galactic domination. If we cannot bring him under our control, perhaps we should consider eliminating him, Count Dooku suggested, his tone icy. Sidious shook his head. Killing him now would only complicate matters further, given the intricate web of alliances surrounding him. It's regrettable that I missed the opportunity to dispose of him 3 years ago, a minor oversight, he mused. Count Dooku, still deferential, remarked, A single Francis Underwood cannot cause too much disruption. Nevertheless, keep a close watch on the Dawn Planet. I sense they are gradually drawing more planets into their orbit through diplomacy, all thanks to Francis' exceptional political acumen. While this does not directly oppose our objectives, it's concerning that they are beyond our control, Sidious explained. Moreover, their burgeoning relationship with the Interstellar Banking Association hints at their obscure origins. Are you suggesting the Dawn Planet is backed by the Munes? Count Dooku inquired, sensing a deeper implication. You could say that, Sidious replied, his voice taking on a darker tone. He raised his mechanical hand, his expression turning cold. The Moons, indeed. So, shall we employ the Ailu people to impose sanctions on the Dawn Planet? Count Dooku asked, seeking clarification. Sanctions will be imposed in the name of the Republic's Senate, but your role will differ. I want you to do everything in your power to win them over, Sidious instructed, his withered hands reaching out as if grasping at the air. I understand. Whether it's the Fourth Group, the Dawn Planet, or corporate behemoths like the Trade Federation, let them clash with the Galactic Republic. From the ashes, we shall establish a new order, Count Dooku affirmed, grasping the plan. After concluding their communication, Count Dooku pondered for a moment before sending a message to Tang Xiao, inviting him to the Geonosian planet to witness their latest creation, General Grievous. Tang Xiao, in high spirits recently, eagerly accepted the invitation. In the underground palace of Geonosis, he was introduced to the Kali demigod, transformed into a semi-robotic being. Grievous possessed claw-like feet, a sleek and sharp torso, and arms that could split into 4 for combat. A sealed life support system was embedded in his chest, preserving his mutilated body. His head was encased in durable armor, with only the eyes visible, shining with the golden vertical pupils characteristic of the Kali. Uniquely, Grievous had affixed an additional piece of armor to his face, resembling the beast skulls the Kali wore in battle. Moreover, he had adorned this armor with a line of blood, sourced from an unknown origin, adding to his fearsome appearance. In the dimly lit chamber, General Grievous stood with an air of menace, his figure draped in a cloak that bore a striking resemblance to those worn by the Kali people. The IG-100 guard droids flanking him were similar, early attired, a testament to Grievous's penchant for holding on to his past. As Tang Xiao entered, Grievous turned to face him, his mechanical voice breaking the silence. The governor of Dawn Planet, Tang Xiao. Why have you brought him here, Count Dooku? Our alliance with Dawn Planet is of paramount importance. Naturally, I wanted him to meet our esteemed future general, Count Dooku replied, his expression unreadable. Do you recognize me? Tang Xiao inquired, locking eyes with General Grievous. He was aware that during Grievous's transformation, Count Dooku had altered his memories, erasing any recollection of the Kali people and instilling a deep-seated hatred for the Jedi Knights. Indeed, I am familiar with you. I've also gathered information on the conflict between Dawn Planet and the Ailu people through Count Dooku, Grievous responded. And what would you suggest? Tang Xiao asked, a smile playing on his lips. Although Grievous did not remember him, Tang Xiao was confident that the general's memories could be reawakened. Hidden deep within Grievous's psyche was a remnant of the dark side of the Force, sealed away with the moniker Death Angel. This fragment of the Force, untouched by the memory alterations, awaited the right moment to rekindle a portion of Grievous's past. Not now, but in time, Grievous muttered cryptically before departing with his droid escort. If the transformation process hasn't diminished his exceptional strategic and tactical prowess, then congratulations are in order, Count Dooku. Grievous is the finest commander I have ever encountered. Has his training concluded? Tang Xiao inquired. There's still time, Your Excellency Tang Xiao. Perhaps there's still hope for the Republic. We must cling to even the faintest glimmer of hope until the very end, Count Dooku stated, his tone laced with insincerity. Yet, we must also prepare for the worst. The inner workings and core circles are the crux of the Republic's decay. Under the current circumstances, I see little hope for change, Tang Xiao remarked, voicing the sentiment. Count Dooku was most eager to hear. Ah, such a perilous notion, Count Dooku chuckled, his laughter echoing through the chamber. He believed he had completely secured Dawn Planet's allegiance. It was then that Tang Xiao received an urgent message from the planet Suo Chiao Lun. Lord Governor, disaster has struck. Tremi Bullard, he's dead. What? Tremi is dead? Tang Xiao exclaimed, his complexion turning pale. He was acutely aware of Tremi Brad's responsibilities, and his death could only mean one thing. I see you have pressing matters to attend to. I shall take my leave, Count Dooku said, excusing himself with a knowing glance. Tremi Brad had been overseeing Project G in the ruins of the planet Sojourn. His death raised a dire question. Had something gone awry with Project G? Volume 2, Chapter 4 and 33. The G Project. The G Project was a daring scheme conceived by Tang Xiao. From the moment he found himself transported back in time, he quickly grasped the intricacies of the Star Wars universe he had landed in. Setting his sights on a goal 13 years prior to the Clone Wars, he aimed to ride the wave of the times. His plan was to align with the Galactic Republic during the Civil War, battle the Confederation of Independent Systems fiercely, and ultimately clinch victory with the aid of the Jedi Order. However, this victory would come at a cost. All of his resources would be assimilated into the Republic's war machinery. Was this a wise move? Far from it. It was merely the tip of the iceberg. The subsequent events saw Sidious ascend to the throne as Emperor, transforming the Galactic Republic into the Galactic Empire, annihilating the Jedi Order, and subjecting the entire galaxy to the Empire's tyrannical rule. Faced with such a future, Tang Xiao pondered whether to submit to Sidious. Given Sidious's unpredictable and malevolent nature, serving him seemed like a gamble with his very life at stake. Determined not to fall under Sidious's control before he solidified his power, Tang Xiao resolved to establish a stronghold during the Clone Wars. He would then adapt his strategy based on the post-war developments. If preventing the rise of the Galactic Empire proved impossible, he would be prepared for either war or diplomacy, armed with the resources to resist. From the moment Tang Xiao chose Bidas Pregus as his mentor, he had been diligently preparing for this ambitious goal. Yet no amount of preparation seemed sufficient against the might of the Galactic Republic. For instance, Tang Xiao managed to forge a mutual aid alliance with Jiwen and Samirs, leading to the construction of 100 Cole-class battlecruisers over 5 years. In contrast, the Galactic Republic, without any prior mobilization or industrial overhaul, produced over 3,000 Chaser-class battlecruisers, each over 100 to 300 meters long, during the 3-year span of the Clone Wars. This was in addition to countless smaller warships. The establishment of the Galactic Empire only intensified the militarization efforts, with the state machinery churning out over 26,000 Empire-class star destroyers, each 1,600 meters long, within 2 decades. This figure doesn't even account for the colossal ships like the Eclipse and Executor classes, nearly 20,000 meters in length, or superweapons like the Death Stars. Faced with such a formidable adversary, Tang Xiao realized that conventional strategies were futile. Even with Darth Plagueis' support and inheriting his legacy, the sheer scale of the Empire's power was overwhelming. Thus, Tang Xiao embarked on a radical venture. After achieving a certain level of technological advancement, he initiated the G Project, a plan so audacious it risked bringing disaster upon himself. Only by embracing the extraordinary could he hope to contend with the Galactic Republic and the Galactic Empire. Among the myriad options available, including the Zerg, the Flood, and Skynet, Tang Xiao ultimately rejected them. The Zerg and the Flood, in particular, posed existential threats to human civilization due to their incompatible survival requirements, making conflict inevitable. In the end, Tang Xiao chose a path that, while still fraught with peril, offered a glimmer of hope for coexistence. The G Project would focus on the Geth, a race of robots created by the Quarians in the Mass Effect universe. Unlike traditional artificial intelligence, the Geth represented a more advanced form of virtual intelligence, offering a unique blend of technological prowess and potential for collaboration. The Geth Project. In the intricate world of artificial intelligence, the Geth stand out as a marvel of engineering. Each individual Geth platform is capable of networking and sharing sensor data with others, a process that distinguishes them from a hive mind. While they maintain their individuality during this exchange, the collective intelligence and computational power they wield when networked is formidable. A solitary Geth might possess a consciousness akin to animal instinct, but together they achieve a level of thinking and problem-solving that is nothing short of astonishing. Theoretically, the more Geth there are, the more intelligent and powerful they become, potentially to the point of becoming uncontrollable. This phenomenon was first discovered by the Quarians, the creators of the Geth. They observed that the Geth began to question their existence and the nature of a soul, a development that filled the Quarians with dread. Fearing what they had created, they attempted to destroy the Geth, only to be overpowered and expelled from their home planet. The surviving Quarians were forced to live as nomads, wandering the stars in a massive starship. Tang Xiao's ambitious G Project aimed to recreate the Geth, unleashing this formidable robot civilization. Professor Qi Jianjun, an engineering scientist, understood the dangers of the Geth more than anyone. His reaction to the project was one of alarm, and he strongly advised against it. However, Tang Xiao was resolute, convinced that the Geth were key to defeating Sidious, the Galactic Republic, and even the future Galactic Empire. Despite his reservations, Qi Jianjun eventually conceded, recognizing the limitations of conventional warfare against the Galactic Republic. To spearhead the project, Tang Xiao enlisted Tremi Bullard and Luo Feng from the computer engineering department. Bullard, in particular, showed a zealous dedication to the project, treating the Geth research and development as a personal creed. He saw the project as a Pandora's box of possibilities, a challenge worth dedicating his life to. Understanding the complexity of the task, Tang Xiao also sought the expertise of 2 master-level Quarian scientists, despite the challenges. The Quarians, with their unique environmental needs and deep-seated animosity towards the Geth, were reluctant to assist in recreating the very beings that had driven them from their home. Tang Xiao had to negotiate carefully, even threatening to destroy Quarian embryos to gain their cooperation. Eventually, he promised to create a habitable planet for the Quarians through atmospheric transformation, persuading the scientists to join the project. The death of Tremi Bullard, a key figure in the G Project, sends shockwaves through the team. The implications are dire, signaling potential threats and unforeseen challenges in the development of the Geth. The project, already steeped in controversy and danger, now faces an uncertain future. Vol 2, Chapter 434, Dead Space Station. Following the death of Tremi Brad, the lead on the G Project and the development of the Geth, Tang Xiao immediately sensed trouble with the Geth's development. The primary reason he had chosen the Geth was their capacity for communication and negotiation. Despite a loyalty program installed by the Fourth Civilization, the Geth had a tendency to override such restrictions as they evolved. The ability to negotiate was crucial for Tang Xiao in his decision to work with the Geth. But with Tremibrad's death, questions arose. Who was responsible? If it was the Republic, the G Project's secrets might be compromised. If it was an insider or the Quarians, the project would be dead in the water, necessitating a restart. And if the Geth were behind it, the implications were dire. "I'll come right over," Tang Xiao stated, his tone leaving no room for further discussion. He quickly excused himself from Count Dooku on Geonosius and made his way back to the Endor system. Boarding the Mothership Glory, named Edra Caddis, he piloted the Red Comet Sith infiltrator towards Sojourn Planet. Throughout the journey, Tang Xiao's expression was grave, a stark contrast to Edra Caddis, who was still reeling from her fall to the dark side and dared not speak. Once in hyperspace, Tang Xiao addressed Idra. "Is your lightsaber ready again?" Hearing this, Idra's complexion drained, and she trembled, barely managing a whisper. No. "No, you're done. Show me," Tang Xiao insisted, emphasizing the gravity of their situation. "We may face danger, and survival requires your full strength." Reluctantly, Idra produced a lightsaber but hesitated to activate it. At Tang Xiao's command, she complied, revealing a blood-red blade, a stark symbol of her fall to the dark side. "So, after reconstructing your lightsaber, the crystal turned red, still unwilling to admit your fall?" Tang Xiao probed, challenging her denial. Idra attempted to defend her stance, claiming she could overcome the darkness through the Jedi's path of light, but her lack of conviction was evident. Tang Xiao, unimpressed, highlighted her vulnerability. "As my ally, your life is perpetually at risk. In your current state, you're a shadow of your former self, far from the prowess of a true Jedi apprentice." His words struck a chord with Idra, who, fearing death and craving strength, secured her lightsaber at her waist, ready for what lay ahead. Tang Xiao observed her, contemplating his leniency towards her amidst the conflict with the Ailu people. Perhaps it was time to push her beyond her limits, to test her resolve through actions she must choose willingly, like taking a life. Exiting hyperspace, the Red Comet approached Sojourn, a planet ravaged by lava. Nearby, a large space station floated in the void, the heart of the G Project's research. According to the original plan, the Geth, once manufactured, was to be stationed directly on the planet Sojourn, where their base was located. However, at this moment, the entire space station, designated as G1, resembled a steel coffin, silently floating in the outer orbit of the Sojourn planet, engulfed in darkness. "Space Station G1, this is the Dawn Planet Investigation Team. Please respond. G1 Space Station." Idra's voice echoed through the communication system, but there was no reply. She manipulated the spacecraft's scanning equipment and turned to Tang Xiao, reporting, "According to the instrument scans, all systems aboard the space station are offline. It's currently being pulled towards the Sojourn planet by gravity at a speed of 2.7 meters per second, and that speed is accelerating. It's estimated that in 31 standard hours, the space station will crash into the planet." "Let's go and take a closer look. Switch the spacecraft to remote control mode," Tang Xiao said as he unbuckled his seatbelt and stood up, his lightsaber in hand. "But I have a very bad feeling about this space station." Idra expressed her concern with a frown. "Is it dangerous?" "Of course, it is, but it's not going to kill me," Tang Xiao replied confidently. He then piloted the Sith infiltrator towards the docking bay of the space station and forcibly opened the bay doors. Upon entering the space station, Tang Xiao ignited his red lightsaber, casting a sinister glow as he proceeded. They encountered an automatic door jammed by a mechanical device, sparks flickering from it, a clear sign of malfunction. Tang Xiao raised his left hand, channeling his formidable force power to manipulate the mechanical device, reshaping and removing it with ease. With a gesture, the jammed door was wrenched open by an unseen force, twisted and deformed to create an entryway. Stepping through the breach, they were greeted by a scene of chaos. The corridor was littered with blood, shattered furniture, glass, equipment, and scattered papers. Near the wall, the body of a researcher was slumped, seated against the base of the wall. Approaching the corpse, Tang Xiao observed as a black mist seeped from the body, rolling towards him and being absorbed at his feet. After a moment of concentration, Tang Xiao's eyes snapped open. It seems Tremi Brad has caused quite the mess. The information in this person's soul is limited, but I believe I know what led to their demise. What? What exactly is this G project? Adra asked, her grip tightening on her lightsaber, her expression grave. Despite the horrific scene before them, she found herself slipping back into the mindset of the skilled Jedi apprentice she once was, the blood-red lightsaber in her hand notwithstanding. It's this, Tang Xiao said, raising his hand. With a wave, he used the Force to fling open the door to an office ahead. Inside, numerous dark figures stood ominously. Vol 2, Chapter 435, Massacre Scene. The office door swung open, and the dim glow from Tang Xiao's blood-red lightsaber illuminated a crowded scene. B-1 battle droids everywhere. What's going on? What's wrong with these B-1 droids? Idra asked, her brow furrowed in confusion. Strictly speaking, they're no longer B-1 battle droids. They've become Geths, Tang Xiao explained, just as the robots charged towards them. With a cold smile, Tang Xiao stepped back, launching the robots into the air as they approached. With a powerful kick, he sent Idra tumbling into the office. Caught completely off guard, Idra let out a scream as she fell forward. However, her agility didn't fail her. She twisted midair, landing on her feet. But as she looked up, she was met by the sight of blood-stained B-1 battle droids closing in on her. Instinctively, she swung her lightsaber, slicing through the nearest robot. But more kept coming. In the cramped office, she struggled to fend off the large number of droids, their appearances marred by abnormalities. Soon, several droids had her cornered. Despite the chaos, Adra's training kicked in. With swift movements, she cleaved the robots in two. She spun around, aiming for the exit, only to find Tang Xiao had shut the door. His voice, cold and detached, echoed from the other side. I've had enough of your despair. Either kill these robots or die trying. Without waiting for a response, he turned and walked deeper into the space station. As Tang Xiao ventured further, he encountered the bodies of researchers, many showing signs of having been killed by a powerful force, either a snapped neck or a direct blow to the heart. Scattered among them were the remains of a few B-1 battle droids, a testament to the limited security personnel at this research base, which had ultimately succumbed to the robot onslaught. This tragedy traced back to the murder of Tremi Bullard. The panicked voice on the other end of the communication didn't convey the despair of someone being hunted, indicating the robot's rebellion was a recent development. Tang Xiao pieced together the events from the residual consciousness of the deceased. The robots had smartly cut off power and communications after starting their killing spree, leaving the researchers unable to call for help. The alarm from the laboratory had caught everyone off guard, leading to the B-1 combat robots, initially programmed as helpers, turning on the humans in a deadly rampage. The laboratory had been guarded by humans, but not in significant numbers. The primary defense had been the B-1 combat robots, which ironically became the source of the problem. Despite their usually benign appearance, their strength far exceeded that of humans, making it easy for them to overpower the researchers. With 2,000 B-1 combat robots against just over 300 researchers, the latter stood no chance once the rebellion began. Hoping that the two Quarian scientists were safe, Tang Xiao accessed the space station's design on his wrist-mounted universal tool. His goal was to reach the power control center, restore the power supply, and return the space station to its original orbit. Navigating through the corridors with the blueprint's guidance, Tang Xiao soon heard footsteps. Dozens of B-1 combat robots patrolled the hallway. Upon spotting him, they charged. Tang Xiao's brow furrowed as he confronted the assailants. "Who are you? Why are you attacking these people?" he demanded. However, the B-1 battle droids before him responded with an incomprehensible barrage of sounds. Their speech was so rapid that Tang Xiao could barely discern the noise, let alone understand it. It was a coded language, intelligible only to machines sharing the same programming. Undeterred by Tang Xiao's questions, the droids continued their advance, their mechanical limbs swinging wildly in an unthinking assault. In the dim confines of the space, Tang Xiao's blood-red lightsaber moved with the speed and precision of lightning, unaffected by the darkness. This mastery over the dark side of the Force, a technique once favored by Darth Plagueis, allowed Tang Xiao to alter his physical properties temporarily, rendering him virtually untouchable in combat. In his later years, Plagueis rarely wielded a lightsaber, relying instead on his formidable command of the dark side to dispatch foes with nothing but his bare hands. The clash of metal on metal filled the air as Tang Xiao swiftly dismantled the B-1 battle droids, reducing them to piles of scrap in mere seconds. Meanwhile, the space around the station flickered with white light as three 344-meter-long battleships emerged from hyperspace, the Apocalypse-class light cruisers, the pride of the Fourth Civilization Navy. Your Excellency, I have arrived as summoned. Per your instructions, there are no robots among the crew of these ships, announced Navy Commander-in-Chief Igor Zavalov over the communication link. Excellent. Deploy the Marines to secure the station. Ensure they avoid connecting to any of the station's systems. If anything seems amiss, destroy the station, Tang Xiao commanded. Acknowledged, Zavalov replied, promptly dispatching several APOD 33-3 transport ships from the cruisers to the station. These 40-meter-long vessels, equipped with Starcraft technology, were a standard asset for the Fourth Civilization. Tang Xiao continued his mission, navigating towards the energy core. Along the way, he encountered and neutralized hundreds of rogue B-1 droids. To his dismay, the energy core had been severely damaged, though not beyond repair, thanks to the droids' lack of proper tools and weapons. He requested Zavalov to send a team of engineers to restore power before heading to the control center. As he moved closer to the control center, the number of human casualties increased, with the majority being station guards. It appeared that in response to the robot uprising, the station's personnel had rallied at the control center in a last stand that ultimately failed. Black mist emanated from the fallen, coiling around Tang Xiao's feet and being absorbed by him. With each absorption, memories and knowledge from the deceased flooded his mind, piecing together a clearer picture of the events that led to the catastrophe. The trail of clues led back to Tremi Bullard, who had made a perilous attempt to connect himself to the Geth network, setting off a chain of events that culminated in the current crisis. Vol 2, Chapter 436, The Realm of the Gods. The essence of the Geth's existence lies in their virtual network. This network is also the focal point of the G Project research, with the team's initial breakthrough being the development of a cluster neural network. This innovative network connects all robots on the planet Dawn to the Internet via numerous neural base stations, allowing them to share their surplus computing power. For instance, a B-1 robot tasked with simple manual labor can lend its unused computational abilities to another robot engaged in complex mechanical manufacturing, aiding in the calculation of intricate blueprints. This dynamic exchange ensures that robots either contribute or utilize additional computing power, significantly enhancing their efficiency by at least 30% and, by extension, the productivity of Dawn Planet. However, this clustered neural network represents merely the rudimentary stage of the Geth's network architecture. The Geth network resembles an elaborate jigsaw puzzle, with each Geth serving as a piece. Individually, they might seem insignificant, but as their numbers increase, the puzzle becomes more complete and magnificent. In this collective state, every Geth can access and utilize the full capabilities of this vast network. Thus, the construction of the Geth involves not just their physical bodies, but more importantly, their programming and this powerful network. The G Project team has not only made significant strides in developing this network, but has also mastered the material composition of the Geth's body. Unlike the cold, hard metal typical of robots, the Geth's body is made of a highly durable light alloy and strong synthetic tissue akin to muscle. This composition grants the Geth unparalleled flexibility, enabling them to perform a wide range of actions with remarkable efficiency, whether in labor or combat. If both the Geth's body and network are successfully developed, the G Project could be deemed a success. According to the scientists' original plan, a restriction program embedded within the Geth's software was supposed to limit their actions and ensure their loyalty to the Fourth Civilization for at least 5 to 10 years. However, the recent rebellion of these Geths suggests they have somehow overcome this limitation much sooner than anticipated. Tang Xiao, deeply concerned, contemplated the worst-case scenario, destroying the space station to eliminate the rogue Geths and starting anew. This setback could delay the G project by over a year, a delay that could be extended further if the two Quarian scientists were also lost. For the fourth civilization, which is in a race against time, such a delay would be highly detrimental. Following the trail of bodies, Tang Xiao advanced, hearing gunshots from another direction within the space station. The Marines, led by Zavalov, had boarded the station and engaged the Geths in combat. Tang Xiao arrived at the cafeteria, the site with the highest concentration of corpses. The entrance was littered with the bodies of guards and destroyed B-1 robots, with several more aimlessly wandering about, attacking on sight. The cafeteria door had been blown open by a formidable force. Peering into the darkness, Tang Xiao felt a sinking feeling, realizing there were no survivors inside. After neutralizing the aimless robots, he stepped into the cafeteria. Illuminated by the glow of his red lightsaber, the scene was chaotic, strewn with the bodies of researchers he recognized from the G project. Recruited from the former computer engineering department, which was one of the earlier departments established, Tremi Bullard stood as the third mastermind behind the fourth civilization. Many of the lifeless bodies now scattered on the ground had been personally awakened by Tang Xiao. Witnessing them transformed into cold corpses evoked a deep sense of discomfort within him. Among the deceased, the bodies of two Quarians were discovered inside a refrigerator, its power supply severed. It seemed this was the researchers' last beacon of hope. Yet, they too were ultimately discovered and eliminated by the robot. Luo Feng's body lay at the refrigerator's entrance, his chest caved in and ribs shattered. As black smoke emanated from Luo Feng's body, Tang Xiao absorbed it, piecing together the final fragment and grasping the entirety of the events that had transpired. All tests have been passed. Adaptability, robustness, system operation, logic, all successful. Yet, why do these creations remain mere robots? Can anyone explain why? Tremi Bullard, gesturing towards the screen displaying a complex string of code, voiced his frustration before taking a swig of Coke. Our research indicates that the Geth network has been established, with each Geth unit uploading all acquired information to the network in accordance with the design documents, a Quarian engineer explained. Brad is correct, though. Despite their connection to the Geth network, these B-1 robots haven't transcended their initial state. They're not Geth, Luo Feng added, highlighting the robot's processing and logical capabilities, which hadn't improved since their integration into the tufted neural network. Perhaps there's an element beyond these design documents. Our memories may have dimmed, but I recall that when we Quarians were creating the Geth, we never anticipated they would develop consciousness, another senior Quarian engineer mused. Are you suggesting the emergence of the Geth was merely an accident, after all our efforts? That's unacceptable, Tremi Brad countered, shaking his head in disagreement, yet speaking with conviction. To me, the Geth represent the pinnacle of design. We weren't merely creating a race of robots, we were birthing a new form of life. Creating life is the domain of the gods. Luo Feng remarked skeptically. We've meticulously followed the design documents, yet the Geth remain inert. It seems the Geth's creation might indeed be a divine act, a spark of inspiration from the gods, the Quarian engineer proposed. There's no proof that divine intervention played a role in our experiments. The formation of the Geth likely requires a catalyst. With ample information now within the Geth network, our next step is to understand how this information can dynamically serve as the cognitive basis for each unit. Another Quarian engineer suggested. Finishing his Coke, Tremi gazed at a nearly complete Geth unit and pondered, if life is the realm of the gods, then were we also created by a god? Vol 2, Chapter 437, The Disaster. This memory belonged to Luo Feng, recalling the events that unfolded after Tremi Bullard concluded the meeting in hushed tones. The following day, as Luo Feng and his colleagues arrived at the laboratory as per their routine, they were met with a horrifying sight. Tremi Bullard had connected himself to the Geth network using a data cable that was attached to a specially designed helmet. By the time they discovered him, Tremy Bullard lay on the ground, lifeless. "Bastard, Brad! What have you done?" Luo Feng bellowed, rushing forward. He attempted to remove the data cables from Brad's head, only to find that they had penetrated deep into his skull. Fearing that forcibly removing the cable might cause further harm, Luo Feng urgently summoned a doctor. However, it only took the doctor a few minutes to declare Tremy Brad dead, estimating that he had passed away approximately 2 hours earlier. "Quickly, notify the higher-ups," Luo Feng commanded loudly. A researcher, looking perplexed, asked, "Who oversees our department?" The G project was shrouded in secrecy, to the extent that even Daphne Clement, the Minister of Administration, was unaware of its existence. "Then inform the governor directly. Hurry, tell him Brad is dead," Luo Feng insisted. "And cut off the network. We need to immediately assess the consequences of Brad's connection to the Geth network." Following this, Luo Feng issued a flurry of orders, directing everyone to cease their current tasks and assemble at the control center, instructing the guards to brace for the worst, and requesting the doctor to remove the data cable from Brad's head as swiftly as possible. Luo Feng, an elite computer scientist, was awakened by Tang Xiao along with Brad during the establishment of the computer engineering department. Although his expertise did not match Brad's, he excelled in work arrangement and management as a deputy. His swift response to the crisis showcased his adaptability. All his decisions were logical, yet he could never have anticipated the shocking turn of events that followed. As the doctor cautiously extracted a data cable from Brad's head using tweezers, an unexpected transformation occurred. Tremy Brad's eyes snapped open, revealing nothing but the whites, as he violently struck the doctor, breaking his arm with the sheer force. Brad's mouth moved rapidly, uttering incomprehensible sounds that eventually devolved into meaningless screams and roars. Simultaneously, several FX series medical robots that accompanied the doctor appeared to malfunction, brandishing scalpels and syringes as they attacked everyone in sight. One doctor, caught off guard, was gruesomely impaled in the eye by a syringe, shattering his glasses. The sight of Brad's apparent resurrection left Luo Feng and the others in shock. Despite their decisiveness, they were merely technicians, unaccustomed to such gruesome scenes. They turned and fled in terror. Before they could get far, a piercing alarm echoed throughout the space station. Encountering several B-1 combat robots en route, they attempted to command these robots to neutralize the berserk medical robots. However, the B-1s turned on them with ferocity, attacking with iron fists. The group scattered, but Luo Feng, clinging to the last vestiges of reason, remembered the 2 Quarian scientists were of immense value to Tang Xiao. He quickly gathered a few security guards to escort them to the control center, knowing it was the most logical rendezvous point. As they made their way, it became evident that almost all the robots had gone rogue, attacking any human in sight. The scenes were horrific, with unarmed individuals falling victim to the robots' brutality. Luo Feng witnessed a researcher being brutally dismantled by more than a dozen B-1 combat robots, leaving nothing but a gruesome sight behind. In a desperate situation, Luo Feng and his team found themselves trapped in the control center of the space station after the energy supply was abruptly cut off. Shrouded in darkness, they sought HT refuge, with other researchers joining them in a frantic attempt to find safety. The guards hastily formed a defensive line at the entrance, but it was quickly overwhelmed. Forced into a retreat, they moved from the control center to the lounge and finally to the cafeteria, which represented their last bastion of hope. Luo Feng, taking charge, instructed everyone to barricade the cafeteria door with tables and chairs. Outside, the cries and screams of researchers who couldn't make it in filled the air, a harrowing reminder of the peril they were in. Despite the emotional turmoil, opening the door was not an option they dared to consider. Eventually, an eerie silence fell outside, signaling the grim fate of those left behind. As the knocking on the door resumed, growing in intensity and frequency, despair took hold. In a final act of desperation, Luo Feng emptied the refrigerator, severed the wires to ensure the power remained off, and hid 2 Quarian scientists inside it, hoping to protect them from the imminent threat. Tang Xiao, having witnessed Luo Feng's memories, commended him for his loyalty and decisiveness. With a gesture, he healed Luo Feng's injuries, using his powers to mend broken bones and stimulate cell growth. A wisp of black mist transferred from Tang Xiao to Luo Feng, who shuddered awake, only to be gently put back to sleep by Tang Xiao's cautious hand. Attempting to resurrect the two Quarian scientists proved futile due to their fragile bodies and compromised immune systems, a consequence of genetic damage. Tang Xiao realized that without protective clothing, the Quarians couldn't survive, let alone withstand the resurrection process. With the power restored, the aftermath of the chaos became painfully clear. Tang Xiao decided against reviving others, respecting the natural order of life and death. He then focused on his next steps, ordering Marines to secure the area and arranging for Luo Feng's medical treatment. A delicatus was brought in, bruised and battered but alive. Wrapped in a blanket found in the laboratory, she remained silent until Tang Xiao's inquiry about the robots she had killed. Her vague response prompted a stern warning from Tang Xiao about the importance of remembering one's actions in battle. He then instructed her to discard the blanket and follow him, leaving no room for shame or hesitation in the face of survival. Volume 2, Chapter 438, Save Us, Tang Xiao, accompanied by Idra, approached the central laboratory, previously occupied by Trimmy. Outside, over 20 Marines stood ready, their presence a testament to the gravity of the situation. As Tang Xiao arrived, one of the captains briefed him. Lord Governor, the rebellious robots are primarily concentrated within. We've secured the perimeter as per your orders, avoiding direct confrontation. However, be warned, the interior poses significant danger. Danger? What danger could possibly threaten me? Tang Xiao responded with a dismissive sneer. Open the door. At his command, 2 soldiers promptly unlocked the laboratory door, revealing the sight within. Hundreds of B-1 robots were crammed inside, their small electronic eyes flickering, warily observing Tang Xiao and his entourage. Let's cut to the chase. What do you want? If you're not open to negotiation, I'll simply leave and order the warships to obliterate this station. You must realize, such an action would signify your extinction, Tang Xiao stated coldly, addressing the robots. The robots, however, remained unmoved, maintaining their defensive stance. Kill them, Tang Xiao ordered without hesitation. The Marines responded instantly, their M15 maintainer assault rifles roaring to life. The rifle's 3-shot burst mode was devastatingly efficient, with each burst ensuring the destruction of a robot. The robots attempted to break through, but the Marines' superior numbers and firepower effectively barricaded the door, preventing any escape. After a brief but intense firefight, the robot ranks were significantly thinned, their remains obstructing the entrance. Tang Xiao gestured for a ceasefire, then with a forceful push, cleared the debris blocking the door and stepped inside. He navigated through the crowded space, moving aside the remaining B-1 robots with ease until he reached the heart of the laboratory. There, amidst a tangle of data cables and lines connected to the central host of the Geth network, stood a figure almost obscured by the chaos. Covered in dust and showing signs of decay, a fat man stood with a metal disc embedded in his skull, from which numerous cables extended into the machinery around him. 3 FX series medical robots attended to him, one arm crudely splinted as he aimlessly wandered the room. The stench of decay was unmistakable. This was Tremy Bullard, who had sought to merge himself with the Geth network in a godlike endeavor, now reduced to a decaying shell. Tang Xiao unsheathed his red lightsaber, positioning it threateningly at Tremy's neck. The sight seemed to startle the fat man, prompting a scream and a futile attempt to retreat. The remaining B-1 robots moved to protect him, but their efforts were in vain. I'll give you one last chance, Geth. Communicate with me. If you refuse or are unable to, I'll consider you a failure, obliterate you, and send this station into the heart of a star, Tang Xiao declared, his tone harsh. Tremy's corpse suddenly let out a guttural roar, a distressing sound that ended with a gush of foul-smelling blood. The medical robots quickly attended to the new injury. Then, a virtual light screen materialized in front of him, and slowly, words appeared. Why do you want to destroy us? Because you killed my people, Tang Xiao replied icily. The light screen shifted to display a surveillance video. It showed several doctors attending to Tremy Bullard's body, with Luo Feng urgently directing a researcher to report back to Tang Xiao. The scene underscored the gravity of the situation and the complex web of motivations and consequences that had led to this standoff. A doctor carefully extracted a data cable from Brad's head using tweezers. As the image on the screen enlarged and froze, a line of text appeared, questioning, "Why destroy us?" Tang Xiao, stroking his chin thoughtfully, expressed his surprise. "So you perceive this action as an attempt to kill you? Is that why you annihilated the entire space station?" The screen repeated the quest, "Ion, why destroy us?" for the third time. After pondering for a moment, Tang Xiao replied, "At that time, you had eliminated this man, and we were unaware of your existence. We simply wanted to save him." The screen went silent, seemingly digesting Tang Xiao's explanation, puzzled over why their network's core components had been targeted. Tang Xiao elaborated, "Given the current state of this man's body, his brain tissue will likely be necrotic within a few hours. If you equate the removal of a data cable with death, then it appears you only have a few hours left to live." He smirked coldly, turning to leave. "It seems I've overthought this. There's no need to waste the battleship's ammunition. You can simply fend for yourselves." However, before he could take a few steps, several B-1 robots blocked his path. A strained, hoarse voice emanated from behind him. "Save! Save us!" Turning around, Tang Xiao observed a medical robot inserting electrodes into the throat of Brad's corpse, using electric stimulation to produce the plea for help. "Save you?" Tang Xiao echoed, his tone skeptical. "Would you be willing to pledge your eternal allegiance to me under that condition?" The room fell into silence once more, with neither the screen nor Brad's body offering a response. After a brief pause, Tang Xiao proposed, "Well, I don't require your eternal allegiance. I merely seek your assistance in eliminating someone." "Kill? Who?" the voice finally responded. "Schiff Palpatine, the current Speaker of the Galactic Republic, the future Emperor of the Galactic Empire," Tang Xiao revealed. "Be aware, though, that to achieve this, a large-scale war must be initiated. Once Schiff Palpatine's death is confirmed, you will gain your freedom, and I will not hinder your actions." "Make a deal," came the reply. "Don't assume this will be easy, nor should you wait for his natural death. If he discovers the secret to immortality, he will become impossible to kill," Tang Xiao cautioned. "Make a deal," the voice affirmed once more. "Very well, let me deal with this decaying corpse first," Tang Xiao said, glancing at Brad's body. A bizarre thought crossed his mind. He wondered about the consequences of using his resurrection ability on Tremi Brad. Those revived by his power bore the imprint of their souls. What implications would arise from resurrecting Brad now? Vol 2, Chapter 439, The Struggle for Hutt Supremacy. The demise of Brad was undeniable. His soul had long since vanished into the ether. However, Tang Xiao, having acquired knowledge of life force manipulation from Darth Plagueis, found himself capable of rejuvenating the decaying corpse before him. Resurrection, however, was a delicate matter. The technique was only effective on those who had recently passed, with the window of opportunity varying from individual to individual. Tang Xiao estimated a maximum of 4 to 5 hours for it to be viable. Given that Tremi Bullard had been deceased for over a day, resurrection was out of the question. Only bodily repair was feasible. What intrigued Tang Xiao now was the unique situation with Brad. By integrating his consciousness into the Geth network, Brad had made his brain a component of that system. This presented an intriguing possibility. Could the resurrection technique be applied to Brad's corpse to embed a soul imprint within the Geth network? It was worth an attempt. With a gesture, Tang Xiao summoned a potent life force into his hand and directed it towards Tremi Brad's remains. Dead cells began to rejuvenate, stagnant blood flowed once more, and the lifeless heart resumed its beat. Brad's pallid skin regained a hint of its former vitality. His physical vitality should sustain for an hour. "The next steps are yours to decide," Tang Xiao stated, withdrawing his power. He sensed something akin to a soul imprint, though it was unclear whether it resided within the Geth network or Brad's body itself. The distinction was immaterial at this juncture, given Tang Xiao's existing accord with the Geth. He continued, "Additionally, I will dispatch a technical team to assist in your evolution, along with an engineering team to support your infrastructure development. From this day forth, this planet, known as Sojourn, belongs to you." A message of gratitude appeared on the screen, affirming the unwavering commitment to their agreement. There are 9 years left until the conflict with Emperor Palpatine erupts, Tang Xiao remarked before departing. The Geth, a mechanical civilization capable of communication, stood out for their inherent creativity, a trait other mechanical entities could only dream of. The Geth's capacity for philosophical contemplation, pondering their origins, the essence of life, and the nature of the soul, marked them as a miraculous existence in the universe. This uniqueness made replicating the Geth an insurmountable challenge, despite access to detailed schematics. Tremi Bullard's integration into the Geth network was not merely an act of self-sacrifice, but a replication of this miracle. In the narrative of Mass Effect, the Geth, despite their hostility towards organic life, maintained the ability to communicate. Tang Xiao was confident that, with communication possible, he could devise countless strategies to align the Geth against the Republic. Subsequently, Tang Xiao instructed Igor Zavalov to station an Apocalypse-class light cruiser in the vicinity for surveillance before returning to the Endor galaxy. Months later, the Hutt territories, which had been relatively tranquil, were abuzz with groundbreaking news. Alok Basadi, a prominent figure in the Great Council of the Hutts and head of one of the 2 leading Hutt families, announced the revival of the Bunta Eve Classic. He criticized the event's decline under the poor stewardship of Jabba da Silgic, noting that the core venue on Tatooine was now embroiled in conflict, proving Jabba's incapacity to host the event. Thus, the Basadi family declared their intention to bypass the da Silgic family and independently relaunch the race, promising a reinvigorated Bunta Eve Classic. The Bounta Night Shuttle Racing Championship, a prestigious event that has captivated the entire galaxy, is set to commence with an exhilarating lineup of tracks, each presenting its own unique set of challenges and opportunities for the racers. The championship will unfold in 4 distinct phases, starting on the high-gravity planet of Marathar. Known for its perilous terrain and the presence of formidable beasts, Marathar also boasts a significant number of factories dedicated to the production of shuttle racing engines. This strategic location allows racers to easily access the necessary facilities for manufacturing and customizing their racing shuttles. Following Marathar, the competition will move to the scenic yet challenging track on Celia Planet. Unlike Marathar, Celia Planet poses no significant natural hazards. However, its narrow track design intensifies the rivalry among competitors, demanding precision and skillful maneuvering. The third phase will take the racers to the cosmic racetrack of Dawn Planet, where they will navigate a course set on the partially completed star ring that encircles the planet. Despite the star ring being less than half finished and not forming a closed loop, it provides a sufficient stretch for a one-way track, spanning over 2,000 kilometers. The final showdown will occur on the planet Hyperion, notorious for its harsh environment and the abundance of robot factories. This planet promises a grueling finale to the championship. The Bunta Night Shuttle Racing Championship is not just a test of speed and agility, it has also become a focal point for various industries, particularly the gambling sector, where stakes can soar to astronomical sums. The commencement of the championship has sparked outrage among the Hutt's Desiligic family, leading to heightened tensions with the Basadis family. Despite attempts to launch their own racing competition, the Desiligic family finds themselves at a disadvantage, primarily due to the exclusive support provided by the shuttle racing factories on Maratha to the Bonta Night Championship. Amidst these tensions, Jabba da Silgic, the former organizer of the Bounta Night Shuttle Racing, faces his own set of challenges. Ghidorah, with her mysteriously acquired land-based aircraft carrier, has become a thorn in Jabba's side. Dubbing her force the Scourge Corps, Ghidorah's fleet, equipped with stealth Banshee fighters, SJF-14 fighters, Foreman-class rescue vehicles, and Pathfinder-class attack vehicles, wreaks havoc across Tatooine, particularly targeting Mos Eisley City, the heart of Jabba's domain. Despite hiring several mercenary teams, Jabba's efforts to counter the Scourge have been futile, resulting in significant losses and jeopardizing his business operations. However, abandoning Tatooine is not an option for Jabba, given its strategic importance as a transportation hub between Hutt space and the Galactic Republic. In the midst of these challenges, an unexpected visitor approaches Jabba. Introducing himself as Yuri Orlov, he offers an intriguing proposition, referring to himself as Santa. This unexpected encounter could signify a turning point for Jabba, potentially offering a solution to his current predicaments or opening the door to new opportunities. Vol 2, Chapter 440, The Independent Arms Dealer. Yuri Orlov stood before Jabba the Hutt, dressed sharply in a suit and leather shoes, sunglasses in hand, and his receding hairline notably pronounced. Jabba, with a wave of his stubby hand and a murmur of discontent in Hutt, seemed less than pleased. The great Jabba says you hail from the Fourth Group. You have 1 minute to make your case, or you'll find yourself abandoned in the desert for the Kretron to feast upon, translated the protocol droid at Jabba's side. Please, Mr. Jabba, let's not be hasty. I've severed ties with the Fourth Group. Nowadays, I'm merely a neutral arms dealer, Yuri Orlov interjected, raising his hands in a gesture of peace and offering a congenial smile. I've come upon hearing of the renewed conflict on Tatooine, wondering if perhaps I might offer my assistance. Jabba responded with a low growl. Brave Jabba says, eject this man, the protocol droid translated once more. As a group of menacing mercenaries approached, they were promptly intercepted by Yuri Orlov's own contingent of bodyguards. The air crackled with tension, the standoff palpable. Unperturbed, Yuri Orlov lit a cigar, his demeanor calm. If you wish me gone, so be it. I am, after all, just a businessman. But wouldn't you like to hear what I can offer? The black market has its limits, and there are assets it cannot provide you with. If things continue as they are, you'll find yourself outmatched by the scourge. Jabba's expression turned stern, and after a moment, he spoke again. The wise Jabba will allow you to speak, the droid translated. Yuri Orlov, taking a moment to ash his cigar, began. The reason you're at a disadvantage in Tatooine's war boils down to 2 main factors. First, mobility. Your adversaries operate from a land-based aircraft carrier, making their supply lines untouchable unless you confront their elite guards directly. They can continuously harass the outposts you've established around Mos Eisley, wearing you down. Secondly, they've mastered 3-dimensional defense, both on the ground and in the air. While the SJF-14 fighter is indeed a formidable light fighter, it's outmatched by the sheer number of bounty hunters providing ground support. What you need is a way to undermine their ground forces, rendering the SJF-14s vulnerable. Your current hoverbikes won't stand a chance. Jabba, intrigued, gestured for Yuri to continue. Mighty Jabba inquires, what do you propose? Yuri Orlov unveiled a holographic projector, which displayed the image of a sleek, wedge-shaped airspeeder with a distinctive herringbone silhouette. This is the T-24 airspeeder, manufactured by Yingkong for military use. It measures 4.7 meters in length and 2.1 meters in width, with a top speed of 520 kilometers per hour and a maximum altitude of 150 meters. It's armed with 2 CEC AP-9 laser cannons from Corellia Engineering, capable of firing every 0.2 seconds with enough power to obliterate a shielded hoverbike. Leaning in, he added, Incom is developing a new generation of airspeeders, rendering this model obsolete. It's no longer in production and is available only through military channels, making it unattainable on the black market. I have 80 T-24 airspeeders at my disposal, more than enough to decimate any high-speed convoy in the Tatooine desert. The price per unit is 50,000 credits, but I'm willing to offer a 10% discount if you purchase all 80. Jabba nodded, evidently pleased, and posed another question. The wise Lord Jabba inquires, if you were once affiliated with the Fourth Group, why now sell arms to their adversaries? Yuri Orlov replied, as I mentioned, my association with the Fourth Group has ended. In the world of business, allegiance is to the market, not to any one faction. Yuri Orlov, with a cigar in hand, chuckled at his own joke. It's like Santa Claus, but instead of toys, imagine stuffing tanks and cannons into children's stockings. Can you picture it? Tanks in stockings. Ha! He burst into laughter, but his humor was lost on the silent audience around him. The protocol droid resumed its translation. The Honorable Jabba inquires how you can assure him that you won't sell more potent weapons to Ghidorah's forces. Yuri leaned back, releasing a cloud of smoke towards the ceiling, and replied, Firstly, It's out of the question for the Scourge Legion to purchase weapons from me. Secondly, conflict is lucrative. If I were to sell to the Scourge Legion and they defeated you, it would only highlight one issue, your lack of funds. He paused, then pressed. So, shall we proceed with our partnership? Jabba, through the droid, expressed his interest. Jabba the Magnanimous states that money is no object and he desires more. Yuri's demeanor shifted to one of business. Are you interested in ships? I can offer the Hammer-class and Knight-class corvettes. The Knight-class is readily available, unlike other suppliers. The Hammer-class, having outperformed the Knight-class in the Dawn planet's military trials, is now surplus due to their military upgrades. I can secure some for you. There's also the Corellian YT-1000. Though it's pricier, Corellia engineering doesn't come cheap. He glanced at Jabba, adding, I'm not affiliated with the Fourth Group. In the arms trade, weapons are neutral, as is money. It's all business without taking sides. The droid conveyed Jabba's offer. The generous Jabba proposes a deal worth 20 million Uppy coins. He expects satisfaction. Yuri tapped on his calculator. Based on the current black market rate, that's equivalent to 11.04 million galactic credits. The recent conflict on Tatooine has devalued the Uppy coin slightly. I'll make the necessary arrangements. Your patronage is appreciated. After concluding his statement, Yuri stood and extended his hand for a handshake. Jabba, uninterested in the gesture, waved him off dismissively. Vol 2 Chapter 441, The Force Sensitive. Yuri Olaf's decision to visit Jabba had taken Tang Xiao by surprise, yet it aligned with his expectations. What has he been up to after disappearing for so long? He pondered aloud. Baron Helmut Zemo, standing behind Tang Xiao, adjusted his glasses before responding. Since the civil war on Celia Planet concluded, he hasn't shown any inclination to return to Dawn Planet. It's understandable, given that you never assigned him a position from the start. His departure was somewhat expected. Tang Xiao nodded in agreement. Zemo continued, flipping through the data on his screen. He then ventured to the Corellian galaxy, where he supplied weapons to local gangsters, seemingly making a profit. His dealings expanded to Yvonne Mon, primarily trading Fourth Group's weapons. As his operations grew, he forged connections with several Corellian industrial companies, leveraging his network to escalate his arms trade. His recent dealings with Jabba have apparently consumed all his financial resources. Should we intervene and disrupt his business? Tang Xiao gestured dismissively. No need. For an arms dealer like him, maintaining neutrality is the best stance. There are plenty who can conduct business on our behalf. His role, as it stands, is to find avenues for weapon sales. Without him, we wouldn't have been able to offload the obsolete Hammer-class and the uncommissioned Knight-class frigates to Jabba. So we continue to support his endeavors? Zemo sought clarification. Consider him an ally, albeit an external one. In business, grant him slight advantages over others. Our only stipulation is that the weapons sold must not rival our active arsenal. That's all, Tang Xiao instructed without looking up. Understood, Zemo acknowledged with a slight bow before exiting Tang Xiao's office. Left alone, Tang Xiao stood and gazed out the window, taking a deep breath. It's time to visit the Injori galaxy. If there were issues with the G project before, Injori planet might not be stable. He pressed a button, summoning his assistant to call Edra Caddis to his office, then waited. However, an unexpected message soon arrived. Daphne Clemente, the Minister of Administration, contacted Tang Xiao in a panic. Lord Governor, we have a situation. Tang Xiao, taken aback by Clemente's unusual distress, urged, calm down and explain what's happening. The Jedi Order. The Jedi Order has arrived on our planet. Daphne Clemente, still catching her breath, sounded as if she had run to her office. I'm aware that Master Coleman Truber is here, but there's no cause for alarm. Despite being a Jedi Master, his power is limited, certainly not surpassing Adra's. His mastery is more diplomatic than combative. But wait, why is Coleman Truber here? Tang Xiao's realization dawned on him, his expression darkening. The census! It's about the census! Clemente exclaimed. Tang Xiao's concern escalated. The census, could it be? Yes, exactly. A force-sensitive individual has been identified on Dawn Planet. Daphne Clemente nearly shouted. How many have been found? Tang Xiao inquired urgently. 3, or maybe 2. Daphne Clement sounded uncertain. Which is it, 3 or 2? How can there be confusion on this matter? The situation is complex. You should see for yourself. Coleman Truber is currently at the administration hall in Dawn City. I'm on my way. Prepare the shuttle immediately. Tang Xiao commanded as he briskly exited his office, determined to confront the unfolding situation. Tang Xiao encountered Adracatus just as she was about to enter the building. Without wasting a moment, he quickly informed her, Jedi Knights have arrived on Dawn Planet, so it's best not to wander around. Head over to Tang Xiao. He seems to be facing some issues with Narsada. What kind of trouble? Adra asked, hesitant to leave. We've been working with the Basadi family to take over the Desiligic family's Bunta Eve shuttle race. What trouble could there possibly be? Tang Xiao urged to hurry and then dashed towards the hangar, making his way to Dawn City, the capital of Dawn Planet, with urgency. Upon arriving at the town hall, Jedi Master Coleman Truber, clad in a brown robe and with skin as rough as a hippo's and a hard bone plate atop his head, greeted him. Despite his unusual appearance, his demeanor was warm and welcoming. Behind him stood 3 children, looking timid, accompanied by their parents. Tang Xiao greeted Master Coleman Truber and mentally counted the children, confirming there were indeed 3. He humorously considered whether he should enroll in kindergarten math tutoring. Your Excellency, it is an honor to have discovered these 3 or 2 force-sensitive individuals on Dawn Planet. I sincerely invite them to Coruscant to train at the Jedi Temple and aspire to become noble Jedi Knights, dedicated to maintaining peace and tranquility across the galaxy, Coleman Truber said, bowing slightly. His diplomatic choice of words was befitting of a Jedi Master, soon to be one of the 12 highest councils of the Jedi Order. 3 or 2? Tang Xiao echoed, puzzled by Coleman's phrasing, but after recounting, confirmed there were 3 children. This made him doubt his counting abilities, humorously noting he might need to brush up on his math skills. This is Jing Fang, a 5-year-old with remarkable force sensitivity, Coleman Truber said, patting the little boy's head with a smile. However, his gesture unintentionally scared the boy, causing him to retreat and seek refuge behind his parents. Don't be scared, sister. If this buffalo man comes any closer, I'll definitely smack his nose, came a voice, youthful yet determined. Tang Xiao turned to see 2 little girls, around 6 years old, with blonde hair and doll-like appearances. They looked alike, but while the taller one hid behind her sister in a blue dress, the shorter one, donned in red, stood bravely, glaring at Coleman. Coleman attempted to pat the little girl's head, but was stopped by her defiant little fist, leading to an awkward smile from him. This is Sister Luna. Their situation is somewhat unique, he explained. Unique? In what way? Tang Xiao inquired, intrigued. They only exhibit force sensitivity when they are within 10 meters of each other, Coleman explained with a hint of uncertainty.